All right, I guess I gotta go find my gifts ungiven in my notebook, huh? If you're at home and you're already looking through your collection to pull out some of these unbanned cards, let me hear you say, hey-o. Chatsky, what's up? Wow, today has not gone like I thought it was going to. We're in a little different sitch, but we're making do. Good morning, good afternoon, depending on where you are. Just good afternoon, depending on where I am. Absolutely crazy day so far. We got 18 cards added to the Game Changer list. We got 5 cards unbanned. They dropped all of it and said, all right, see you in a year. And that was that. They came as swiftly as they left. They left as swiftly as they came. Woo! Prices are skyrocketing, Elmo. That makes sense to me. You got a foil Kamigawa gifts for 13 bucks? Shooting blind, did you get that yesterday? Or were you just like, rip it as soon as the article was going? Not much unbanned. Ronnie, 5 cards? Come on now. 5 is a big number. I was expecting like 2. I think that 5 is many more than many people expected, to be completely honest. Steve, a lot of people's decks just climbed up to the rank that they are actually supposed to be. Sorry, to the bracket they are actually supposed to be. This Game Changer list is probably what I am most excited about. Grayson said, what cards are unbanned? Check this out. This is the Game Changers. Here we go. Gifts Ungiven, Sway of the Stars, Braids Cabal Minion, Coalition Victory, and Panoptic Mirror. Unbanned. Shooting blind months ago. Nice grab. I got a stack of foil Gifts Ungiven somewhere from 2x2. The etched and the foils in the showcase. We're going to look at all the treatments in this video. All the different versions of these 5 cards. What exactly we're going to get with the unbans. What exactly we're going to get with the Game Changers. I like this new tag on Scryfall, legal/game changer. So pretty crazy. We're gonna have to go look at the charts for some of these cards. See where they're popping off to. Origicel said you bought 90 copies of Gifts Ungiven. Hie thee to a buy list. It is time for you to buy list those. Take whatever they're paying. Yeah, Steve. This card is unhinged. This is one of the 2 that are the most surprising to me. I was sure, and I said this in my video, I was sure the only way that we were going to get a Braids unban is if they established a banned as commander list and left it on there. They don't want to do that. I think that's clear at this point from the articles. Not even a mention, not even a consideration, never going to happen. But the thing is like, that exists. It's only 1 more mana. Yeah, it doesn't force the sacrifice itself, but seems a little bit more oppressive, right? And all I have to do is say, I don't want to play against Turgid. You got something else? Or I can be like, hey, let's play high power. Play whatever you want. I'm going to play Turgid. Is that cool? Absolutely. Let's see it crush me. And so I feel like the same is going to be said of braids. It's almost like and I don't hate this idea, it's almost like they were like, well, a banned as commander list sort of exists spiritually anyway. Like Turgid is on that list, right? Cards like Edgar, Ur-Dragon used to be, or still are for some people. Oh, I gotta get my, let me grab my tier list that I did for that video and we can compare how bad it went for me. All right. So, Sway was in my definitely won't ever be unbanned pile. Everything else pretty straightforward there. Makes sense. And we'll go read. They dropped some reasonings. They dropped some reasonings for some of the ones that they left banned. And so we'll go and read those. Probably better they stay banned. Nothing came off my list here, although the write-up, and again, we'll look at this. The write-up for Emrakul, I was like, ugh, I think they were close to unbanning Emrakul. And then in the could maybe be unbanned, we got Braids, we got Gifts Ungiven, we got Panoptic Mirror. You got Tolarian Academy, which I was the most ripped apart about. I still think Hull Breacher, maybe Golos would have been fine. But again, you know, depending on banned as commander, not banned as commander. So 1, 2, 3, 4, and then 5. So, you know, I was in my could maybe phase. I had a different justification for Braids, for sure. Not that far off. Gifts is the one with the deepest pull, right? Oh yeah. Gifts is the one with the deepest amount of variance. It's been around the longest. All the way back from Champions, up through Modern Masters and Modern Masters 2017. Jace's Spellbook had it, and that's where we got that art for the first time. And then they reused that art / commission new showcase art from David O'Connor for this one. These are the ones that I was collecting in foil around 2x2. I was like, if they ever get unbanned, I feel like this is going to be the copy that people want. Foil mirror just for $10 before it got unbanned. Nice, Wolfie. Hafiz, the unbannings weren't that exciting. I would tend to agree with you. I'm more on the little less exciting. I think Gifts is pretty cool. Gifts is a fun tool. They threw a little power to some people, you know. Coalition Victory was pretty much duh. Braids, weird. Sway is the wildest one. I don't know why anybody would ever want to play with this card. Is anybody planning to put this into a deck? Because that would be wild to me. Unless you're trying to win right then and there. Like, you've got the ability to give this instant speed and stack it on top of like a... I don't even know. Deal 7 to each opponent. Instant. Miguel, what kind of deck are you going to put Sway in? This one... This is the stranger one to me. Stranger Things here. Yeah, Braids Cabal Minion is unbanned, Old World. Yukio, yeah, I want to read through those. We're going to be joined after a little while by TravisGafford from old TGI. Talk about some of these banned cards. D-Hammer, I think that's what's going to end up happening. Said, I hate that Braids got the unban of just never playing with anyone that has that thing in the command zone. And I think that's what's going to happen. Like I said with Turgid, there is sort of a spiritual banned as commander list. What else would you think is on your like personal commander ban list? Banned as commander. I don't want to play against that. Sorry. Turgid definitely on there. Kennen on there for some people. Cards like that. It's sort of like a let the play groups figure that part out. I feel like we're not going to see a lot of Turgid decks after the next like 4 weeks. I think that even by the time we get to like Vegas in June, nobody's going to be rolling up with their, all right, here's my Turgid as commander deck. I mean, here's my Braids as commander deck. Was I saying Turgid just now? There's going to be a lot of joking about it over the next week. A couple people are going to swap out their mono black sacrifice commander for braids for a little while. And then it'll go in the 99 where it belongs. It's a 99 card. At the beginning of each player's upkeep, that player sacks an artifact, creature, or land. There are a lot of decks talking about this as a 99 card. All right. A lot of decks, this isn't really going to make a dent in. You know how many token creatures? You know how many token artifacts? You know how many token artifacts and token creatures are made nowadays? Oh, sack of food. Oh, sack of clue. That's going to be the response to Braid's Cabal Minions' triggered ability here. Oh, you got to sacrifice something to Braids. Okay, I'll sacrifice this 1/1. I'm going to... Sorrowful God, I'm putting it in decks too. I'm definitely going to put Braids in my Prosh deck. It goes in that deck. But this deck just basically exists to do a token check. It's like, does your deck make enough tokens where the sacrifice removal won't hurt you? Some decks will be able to pass that check. Some won't. Just bought the last gifts ungiven from a TCG shop in Texas for $6. News must travel slow to Texas. Sorry to that TCG shop. Where's it going to settle? Probably $20? Let's go look at it on TCG. Oh, baby. It's climbing. Plus 1,000%. Man, watch out for all the article titles and thumbnails. You might even see one on this channel. Plus 1,000%. Bands making prices go crazy. Sold 81 copies. And I bet 80 of them are in the last 2 hours. Yeah, I'm not worried about Braids. I'm not worried about Braids. This card is just going to be such an eye roller. I think I'll enjoy it being cast against me one time. Each player shuffles his or her hand, graveyard, and permanents into the library. Draw 7 cards. Everyone gets 7 life. Yeah, D-Hammer, exactly. Exactly. Oh, dude, you'll see a plus 1,000% in a thumbnail over here. Just wait. Gifts ungiven firing, though. Oh, man. Nobody expected this one, huh? Man. 5 sold last month. Last day of last month. Or 30th, anyway. 3 sold. 3 sold. 8 sold. Somebody took a flyer. Somebody was like, I'm going to buy 2 4 sets. 1, 3, 3. 21 so far. Will Sway of the Stars be in Edge of Eternity? Silver Quill, that's a really good question. That's been part of the speculation, right? Is that they're gonna unban stuff and immediately sell it to us. That's the only reason they would ban Jeweled Lotus. Did y'all see that this dropped today, by the way? 30 and 60. What is this? $60? Sorry. What the hell is this? 30 and 60? Why is foil $60 for this one? Are these noodles al dente? They're gonna be extra curled? What the hell is this? Anyway, it was interesting speculating that the secret layer... I don't think you get 2 sets. No, you just get the 4 cards. Yeesh. It was fun speculating this morning that when the secret layer went live, because this one went live out of nowhere, it was fun speculating this morning that it was going to be like a unbanned secret layer, or it was going to be like a they're still banned, sorry, and you could buy like a Dockside and a Jeweled Lotus remained banned but available in a secret layer. That's not a terrible idea. Steve, who knows? The SLD deck is MIA. SLD is MIA. Don't know what happened with that one. I'm wondering if there was a couple other cards that were supposed to be revealed that were like lost or something, and they're still trying to... I don't know. That's weird. Very strange. So for those of you joining us right now, 18 cards were added to the Game Changers list, and 5 cards were unbanned. Commander has changed in a major way today. 5 cards unbanned, and that's Gifts Ungiven, Sway of the Stars, Braids Cabal Minion, Coalition Victory, and Panoptic Mirror. Additionally, 18 cards added to the Game Changers list, which, in my opinion, all excellent adds. Teferi's Protection, Humility. This one's more questionable. Narset, Intuition. They were like, you can have Gifts Ungiven, but we're gonna have to put Intuition on the Game Changer list. Consecrated Sphinx, yes. Necropotence, yes. Orcish Bowmasters, probably yes. Notion Thief, they really keep restricting the I draw a lot of cards tools, but my Bumbleflower deck thanks you. Deflecting Swat, yes. Gamble's more questionable, but yes. Worldly Tutor was so wild that one wasn't on there. Crop Rotation I could see an argument for. Seedborn Muse. This one's on the more casual end of the Game Changers, but I think fine. Natural Order, fine. Food Chain, fine. Aura Shards, fine. The experience that I have with Aura Shards is somebody plays it and everybody turns on that person. They get to use it basically one time. It's essentially, Aura Shards, in my experience, is essentially a sorcery that says, this turn, whenever a creature enters the battlefield under your control, you may destroy target artifact or enchantment. So it's like you got to play it, and then you got to dump stuff onto the battlefield and use it then. Because chances are, untapping with this still on the battlefield, that chance is low. Yeah, Josh, they needed to add some of these green cards to the list. Green didn't really get enough love in the Game Changers initial list. Elmo, why do you disagree with Sphinx? This can let somebody just run away, especially if they put it on the card draw player. The full article to the ban list article is pinned. The full link, sorry. The link to the full article of the ban list is pinned at the top of the chat. And there'll be at the bottom, you'll be able to go skirt all the way to the bottom. And there'll be another article down there. This is the ban list announcement, but down at the bottom of the ban list article, boom, there'll be Commander Brackets beta update. Hey chat, will you keep me honest toward like 1 o'clock so I don't forget? Around 1 o'clock, they are going live with Q&A sesh. So we can go and listen to that and see exactly what Gavin, who's in charge of the Commander panel, has to say about all this. Do I think the unbanned cards will spike? Julius? Already are. They're flying. Look at this. That's Gifts Ungiven day 1. It's going to be like this over the next 3 or 4 days. Then it'll retrace, and it'll settle out to whatever price it's going to be over the next 3 or 4 months. If this gets reprinted, it's not going to be a $30 card. We'll see. Brackets will come back too. Julius, you ask about cards spiking, so let's go check out some of the prices on these others right now for the unbanned stuff. We're up to $3.55. No, we're not. We're at 20 bucks. Wow. People are buying. People are buying damaged at $20? Please, chat. Please, God, don't do this. Oh my God, dude. Don't buy a damaged copy of this at $20. What are you doing? Y'all. There's no need to FOMO into a copy of Sway of the Stars right now. This is on my DNB list. Do not buy. Sweet Lord. What is Braids doing? We'll just have to go look at all the copies. Braids. Hang on. Braids. All versions. Here we go. Thank you, TCG player. All right, chat. Let me rearrange my life here a little bit more so I can manage this. All right, nobody's going hard on Braids. And there's a ton of copies selling, y'all. Stock is flush on Braids. Right now, this is scarcity. See how there's not a button next to Sway of the Stars that says see all versions? See how there's only Betrayers of Kamigawa listed? Scarcity play, ladies and gentlemen. Heavy play, $24. I mean, that's even, you can just look at the ones that have actually sold. Light play copies going for 25. Y'all, if you have copies of Sway of the Stars, please sell them immediately. Get rid of these. That's probably the move on all of this stuff. Gifts ungiven? Yep. Oh, dude. I'm getting all of mine. Jared, all of these are going to get reprinted within the next X years. They're like, it doesn't matter. They're going to get reprinted now. They're going to get reprinted now. Harold said all they did was put the high staples on the game changers. It makes the game changer list worthless when every deck is going to have game changer cards. I don't agree with that. Game changer list and brackets is probably the best we've got right now. Ban list is kind of like meh, and should be small. But game changers and dialing in the how many game changers can go in each bracket, I think, is kind of where the critical piece of all this is going to be. I think that the game changers list is an alternative version of points in a format called Canadian Highlander. In Canadian Highlander, most every card in Magic is worth 0 points, but some they assign like 1 point, 2 point, you know. And your deck's only allowed to have a certain amount of points. And so that's sort of what they're doing with game changers, except like just instead of ranking them against each other, they're saying all of these are game changers, and at the different brackets you can just have this many, this many, this many. I think it's 3 at the, here, we'll pivot back to the brackets just for a second. It's 3 at the brackets. Is that what you get at level 3? Is the bracket system on here? No. MTG brackets. Three game changers? I think that's too many. Yeah. I think 3 at bracket 3 is too many. I think this should be like 2. And I think that tutors, I mean, maybe have a tutor list. I don't know. Most of the solutions are like, let's add complication to understanding the whole thing. Yeah, but see, I think that Elmo, I think that core, Nico, what's up? I think the core having no game changers is nice. But it's going to be interesting the first time. I mean, we've got pre-con. Don't we have pre-cons with game changers printed into them? I got to go see. Bar. I don't know. I'm pretty sure that's not how you pronounce your name, but there's 2 R's, so I'm going to take the opportunity to roll my R. Hello, Bar. Rookie game changers are what they call the strongest cards in the format that are not worth banning. That then they limit through the brackets system. Yep, article Chungus there, and anybody, there's the article, the full ban article here if you want to kind of catch up to where we're at. Banned and restricted announcement is here. 5 cards banned. Gifts ungiven. Sway of the Stars. Braids, Cabal, Minion, and Coalition Victory. And Panoptic Mirror. I don't know why I stopped at 4. Those 5 cards were straight up unbanned. Did I say banned? They were unbanned. 5 cards unbanned. Updated bracket system, gotta play blue, they said before Vegas. I mean, sorry, before Atlanta, which is going to be September. Hafiz, they say they do. In the article on the brackets that you can see here, let me do some highlighting for y'all. In an official survey done for MagicCon Chicago, 87% of people who tried the bracket system said it was helpful in their games. Now, 13% of data like this is made up or irrelevant. But 87% of the people who tried the bracket system said it was helpful. I've experienced that it's helpful, so I would have responded in the positive to this. Oh yeah, Seedborn Muse is in the Obzon deck. That's true. So that Obzon deck is immediately a bracket 3 deck. And you might as well put 2 more Game Changers in it. And that's what I don't like about the current Game Changer system is it's like, you might as well put 2 more in there. You're in bracket 3 already. Why wouldn't you run 3 Game Changers? And I think that's why I don't like the number 3. For some reason, I feel like 2 would be better. Because I'm already doing Command Tower, Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, so that's 3. Now, if we put at least 1 Game Changer in there, we're in bracket 3, and we might as well run 2 more. Because, I mean, you're talking about cards like Teferi's Protection. You know, Crop Rotation. You know how many green decks, just because of Crop Rotation and Seedborn Muse, just went, I'm a bracket 3, nearing bracket 4. Hope you don't run any of the other green Game Changers in there. I don't know. Maybe I'm alone in that. I just feel like I don't want to be put into a situation where it's like, all right, well, cut 2 powerful, or cut 2 like synergy cards for the powerful stuff. And I know it's not going to be perfect, Dom. I agree with you. I completely agree with you. Yeah, Josh, in general, it's the playgroups do what they want. But yeah, to catch everybody up who's not aware of what's going on yet, 5 cards were unbanned. Gifts Ungiven, Sway of the Stars, Braids, Cabal, Minion, Coalition Victory, and Panoptic Mirror. Right now, of those 5 cards, Gifts Ungiven is going crazy. Sway of the Stars is going crazy. Braids, Cabal, Minion staying pretty flat. Coalition Victory. Let me go take you to this time spiral, time shifted version of this. Already up into $25. Look at that chart. People were pretty sure about this one, huh? And then if we look at all versions on Coalition Victory, but this retro one, are there even any foils listed? 3 foils listed. Yeah, dude. A fake one? Come on, dude. Somebody do it. And probably a realer listing. But even $277 is crazy. Those old foils look sick, though. Gotta say. Gotta say. And then Panoptic Mirror is going nuts. Absolutely crazy. There is no other version of this. Panoptic is only available in the Dark Steel version. So, what we can hope for. Sway of the Stars, Edge of Eternities, Space, Stars, reprint. Panoptic Mirror. Mirrors refract sunlight. Sunlight, it comes from stars. Stars are in space. Edge of Eternities reprint. Gifts Ungiven. You need a ship. Sometimes you get gifted ships in RPGs. Ships, space. That one's further. Coalition Victory. This one's going to need to be in a secret layer. And we don't need a Braids reprint. We're good. Maybe that's where they show up. Additionally to those 5 cards getting unbanned, we got 18 cards added to the Game Changers. And I think across the board, there's a couple of head scratchers, but mostly it's like, okay, I can see. Like Notion Thief, I'm like, that Game Changer, really? Just because it's mean? Aura Shards, really? It's powerful. Yeah, gamble. I mean, yeah, gamble. 1 mana tutor that goes into your hand. Yeah, most of the ones that green has are deserved. Let's see what they said about gamble. We can actually read all these. What time is it? 12:35. We're doing good. We're doing good. I just want to check gamble real fast. We'll come back to these. Oh, okay, here we go. They grouped gamble, crop rotation, and worldly tutor. The lower brackets do carry the restriction of few tutors already. However, 1 mana tutors that can search up a wide array of cards are some of the most efficient out there, like Imperial Seal, Mystical Tutor. These are in line with that. We may be revising the notes around tutoring on brackets in the future. Please do. But for the time being, we wanted to get these 3 large swings onto the list. So that's it. They just said because it's a 1 mana tutor. That's it. Dom, I don't even see Notion Thief get played. Who's running Notion Thief? I feel like that's a game changer for like CDH, but CDH doesn't care about game changers. All right, we got 2 people in chat that run Notion Thief. I'm the non-Notion Thief runner. You put it in Hashaton. Your Hashaton is going to be a bracket 5 deck before we're done today. One of the strongest ways to cheat big creatures out early. Natural order cheats mana and acts as an efficient tutor all in one. Some of these are like, yeah, it's good that those were not on the list. I mean, good that those were added to the list. Jeffrey said this another April Fool's joke. Nope, this is real. We got 5 cards banned. We got 18 cards added to the game changers. Farewell is not a game changer. This is an incredibly powerful and catch-all board wipe. It can be frustrating to have the game reset in this fashion. However, as a 6 mana reset button, it does help curb people getting out of hand. It's a card we have our eye on, but we do not place it as a game changer currently. The card prices. Y'all, I mean, my best advice right now is get rid of these. If you're sitting on Gifts, Sway, or Panoptic, or Coalition, I mean, those are the foils. Let's go back to the regular people prices. Heavy play copies are selling for 25, y'all. I said banned again. Sorry, unbanned. It's so, Alex, it's such a weird announcement to have a bunch of unbans all at once. I see some people being like, 5 wasn't enough. But I'm like, bro, they like 5 is so many. All right, chat. Got a guest joining us here very soon. Old TravisGafford gonna jump in and chat with us about these banned cards, unbanned cards, excuse me. I'm gonna be doing that all stream. I need you to help me stay on top of banned and unbanned. Steve, all wheels would have to be game changers? Time Twister, Wheel of Fortune. These are powerful rates for these effects, and rate can have an impact on cards on the list. For example, Demonic Tutor's on the list, and Diabolic Tutor is not. However, these cards are often fun when played on their own, just not as much in conjunction with cards like Notion Thief or Narset. Our hope is that by knocking down the strongest of those, it will reduce the unfun things these cards do. Want to use these in your Nekuzar deck alongside Underworld Dreams, that's still fine. So they're like, it really crushes for strategies that need like discard everything. And yes, it's abusable by some cards, but look, we told you all those cards are mean. Those are game changers now. Sacrifice effects. They're just like, these are frustrating. We elected not to do anything with them at this time, but if you think these enchantments should categorically be on the list, please let us know. I feel like, I mean, these hit the board and it's a game-changing card, right? The focus goes down on them. Is that the definition, the purest definition of a game changer? Is that if it hits the board, the game is changed? That's how I would interpret it. The game changer list, Dom? I mean, I would assume that at a certain point, they're going to say, all this is out of beta, and we're not going to have anything that's like 18 cards all at once, right? They're still trying to get it right. Whereas, once it's like a final system, once it's a final system, they'll be like, okay, we're not going to do any huge sweeping changes. There's never going to be 18 cards added to the game changer list at once. And honestly, I think by the nature of just working through the process, you're going to get fewer and fewer stuff added. You're going to reach a point where mostly you're taking stuff off or adding new cards that are printed. Being like Teferi's Protection, but 2 mana. Yeah, this is a game changer. Coming into Commander Legends 2. Jeweled Lotus, but instead of being free, it provides you a mana when you play it. 1 mana of any color floating. When Jeweled Lotus 2 enters the battlefield, tap it, sack it. Add 3 mana of any color only for commanders. Scry 1 if you cast a commander this way. Draw a card. But Grave Pact, Dictate of Erebos. I don't know about this one. All right, let's see if we can get Trav in here. Travis, hey, can you hear me?
Yes, can you hear me?
Yes, we can. Can't see you yet. Chat, everybody say hey to Travis. Travis, what's up? Good morning. How are you, sir?
Good morning. Good morning. I am just now looking at all this stuff, so you'll get a live reaction. And in fact, I'll stop looking at it so that you can break it down for me.
Absolutely.
And I'll understand from you.
First thing I want to do, since you are just getting the news here, last night, Travis sent me his version of the brackets from my video.
Yeah, I'm curious what your reaction was to that.
Let me get this. Let me get these tech difficulties worked out real fast.
You're good. I know it's always weird to transition in the middle of the broadcast.
No, all good. This is. Nope. Probably that. Yep, there we go.
Yeah, okay. So I sent out I'll fill for you while you're setting up. So I sent you a list of my version of what I would unban or ban or whatever. And like my philosophy for that was, I think Commander's in a good spot. I think like unbanning something is very risky, because if you unban something and then you have to ban it again, you risk really frustrating people who like went out and purchased it or whatever, and it like loses a lot of credibility. And so I was very much on the like, does unbanning this really help like improve the format?
Does it make anything better?
Yes. And there was not really like I don't think there's anything on the ban list where I'm like, oh, we need to unban this. You know what I mean? Like it's in my mind, it's like the risk is just so high, and I don't know how much the reward is. I know there are a lot of people who played with these cards previously in the past, and so for them that would be very rewarding.
Oh yeah.
But like, I think the majority of Commander players have probably never played with any of these cards on the ban list, other than like the ones that were banned at the end of last year. So I just like I think the ideal world is they don't really super unban anything, but if they really wanted to, there were a couple things that I thought would probably not be that bad to unban.
Yeah,
so
glancing at your list, you got some of the could maybe be unbans, right? Your Grizzlebrand take is pretty terrifying. Don't really want to ever see that legal personally. But
I don't think I had it saying that it was supposed to be legal.
No,
right?
Probably better that they stay banned for sure. That's
yes.
That middle, those two middle rows are where I'm like, These are the ones that are up for question.
Well, I did, yeah. In a tier list where you have to have some gradient, I wasn't going to shove every single thing into
I
the
did.
this needs to stay banned. Yeah.
I was very, very thorough. Yeah, so today we got announced earlier than anybody expected. Gifts Ungiven, Sway of the Stars, Braids Cabal Minion, Coalition Victory, and Panoptic Mirror all unbanned. So we've got no prime time.
Okay.
None of the big three. And there's a lot that, you know, sort of goes into this. Gifts Ungiven, they said it's a beloved card, great history. They considered this within the structure of the brackets and regular pregame combos. If you're trying to infinite combo people with this, they should often sort of help out if you're playing in the right environment. And on the other hand, fair Gifts Ungiven is very fun and akin to factor fiction and politics. So it's like right kind of where most people fell was like, yeah, sure, you can use this to go nutso, but also could be in the fun category. And so let's try and restrict it a little bit instead of straight up saying, nah, get out of here. Hey, Jeffrey, thank you very much. I appreciate the $2.
I'm looking at the article and I'm like scrolling through and I'm seeing some spoilers. It's a lot of things that are like, we're adding these to this, we're removing this, but I don't see where they're like, where they have, is unbans listed in a separate article?
So top of the chat, I've got the article linked right now. If you can go there. That's the Commander Ban and Restricted Announcement article. And then at the bottom of that, there should be a link to the Brackets beta update as a companion article to this whole thing.
Okay. Okay. I don't think you have, oh, here we go. I see it. Okay.
So those 5 cards come off the list, and then they did a new write-up on the 18 cards they added to the Game Changers, and the 2 they took off, which was Trouble in Pairs and Trinosphere.
Yeah.
And then they did
a... Speaks now, Nelly Borka as a pre-con does not immediately start as a tier 3 or bracket 3.
Well, you know, the Abzan deck from Tarkir had Seedborn Muse in it, and so now the Abzan Big Butts deck is automatically a tier 3 deck.
That's funny.
Right out of the blocks.
That's funny.
But enormous news overall. Gifts Ungiven, pretty straight up. Sway of the Stars is the one where I'm like, I absolutely can't believe this. You had this on your could maybe be unbanned list. They said a 10-mana way to reset the game akin to Worldfire, which was previously unbanned in Commander to little fanfare or play. There's some players who enjoy this type of stuff. It's impactful, not very powerful. Plenty of other spells that cost 8 or more mana and have a far higher impact than Sway. So
yeah, so you're saying you're very surprised by this?
I think that it's just an insanely unfun card specifically for this format. And so if our goal is to protect casual stranger-led tables, then this would be a card that I wouldn't want some joker to sit down across from me and be like, I got my Sway of the Stars deck that I'm going to search up with my new my newly unbanned Gifts Ungiven. I'll just put it in their graveyard, I guess.
Yeah. I mean, okay, my philosophy on this was it's 10 mana. Right. It's 10 mana, and it's like a goofy thing, and while it's unfun to you, and I get that you might not want to play against it, there are many things that are unfun to me, and I don't want to play against them.
Sure.
Like it's so, I don't know, it's in blue, it's not in green, so like it's not like you have, obviously like you could have a Simic deck or whatever, but it's just like, it's, for me, it doesn't even win the game. You know, it's 10. You cast a 10 mana spell, and yes, it's goofy, but then you pass turn, and then like you're now sort of the last player on the table.
Yeah.
So like that was like maybe, you know, the Coalition Victory one I'm not surprised by. Like it's funny because I made this list with you last night when you sent it to me, and originally, like, for the last couple of days, I'm like, oh yeah, Primetime and Coalition Victory I feel like are the 2 that are most likely to come through. Yeah. And then like as I was thinking last night, I was like, do I really think Coalition Victory? I don't know. Like, it's so easy to get to this. Like, it's, in my opinion, it's kind of the opposite of Sway of the Stars, where I feel like it's kind of an unfun card, but it is actually much easier to get to than like the 10 mana. So that's why I downgraded it on the list. But yeah, okay. So then the Braids one is also really interesting because for a while I've been going back and forth on whether or not ever since I've seen this card on the ban list, I've been going back and forth on like, should this be banned, should it not be?
Yeah. This is because Dark Ritual exists. This has been on the list from the beginning, or I mean for a long time, because of cards like Dark Ritual. You can get this on turn 1 or 2 pretty easily. And so as commander, it basically just stops the game from happening.
I know.
But now, I think that they're going to lean into, I was talking about this before you joined. I feel like they didn't acknowledge a banned as commander list. They've never brought it up, and they're probably never going to at this point. I feel like this was really my only hopeful time where they could have potentially been like, and we're going to do banned as commander. Let's get it going. And that's not going to happen now, I assume. So what I think is what I think they're going to lean on is the fact that spiritual banned as commander list kind of exists, where I go, oh, I don't want to play against your Braids. I don't want to play against your Braids deck. Do you have a different legend in there that could be the commander of your mono black deck, or does it have to be Braids? Can you just swap another legend out for me that's also good? Or is everything built around the fact that you don't really want us to play Magic? And so, you know, with it being legal, I feel like the format will police it out and we'll move on.
Yeah, that's kind of where my head is at on stuff like that. Similar with with Sway of the Stars. Like, I kind of feel like they will lean into the, you guys figure that part out, you know?
Right.
Is this something that like completely, I don't know. Like, to your point, it's going to be easy to spot a Braids if she's in the command zone. So it's not going to be that much of an issue. If you're not going to get super surprised by it, you know? No. And like Adam Garcia said, Braids is perfectly fine in the 99. I agree with that. Yeah. I think just based on the merit of how much token artifacts and token creatures are created as like a secondary effect of things happening nowadays, you can do anything and get a clue, food, or treasure. There's going to be a lot of times where other players are giving you clues, foods, and treasures. Not to mention 1/1 anythings. Soldiers, spirits, elves, goblins, you pick. And so there's going to be a lot of, most decks, I would say, it's going to be 50-50. I feel like decks that are able to deal with, I'm going to have an artifact creature or land to sacrifice at the beginning of every turn, or not. Because there's been a lot more land graveyard decks lately, and those don't care about Braids, right? Gifts Ungiven is a card that like I think in the way that you're hating to see Sway of the Stars unbanned, I'm hating to see Gifts Ungiven unbanned, but I can't really complain about it when there are so many other tutors in the format. Like, it's like those are decks I don't like to play against, but you know, if tutors are going to be so prevalent in the format, I think it's fine to have this there, you know? I mean, the few tutors, like we start in on tutors at core 2. So the fact that, you know, decent to powerful one at 4 mana, sure, it's instant speed. I plan to use this pretty fairly. This is going to go into, you know, Sultai, Dimir, Reanimator decks for me. So it's another cool tool to have there. And yeah, it's sweet that it's instant speed. And that's kind of how they're hoping that people are going to play it, I think, is like, we're going to have people doing fair tutors. Yeah. Food, I agree with you. I don't really understand the sentence you just said. I can't conceptually understand a fair tutor. That doesn't make sense to me. But, well, hey, look, and I'll say that, and at the same time, I think that tutors should be restricted up to 3 and greater, and we should just define what a tutor is, or have a tutor list. And be like, anything on the tutor list isn't allowed at 3 or higher. Whenever this first came out, and my only Assassin's Creed card deck was flagged as like bracket 3 because it had a card in it that went and tutored for one specific equipment, you know, like, or like partner cards in it, like, you want to see some funny charts here? Sure. This is here, let me share screen to you. Can you do that without ruining everything? I think. I believe I just shared to you. Yeah, what is this? Jeffrey Thistle said, with the $2, Braid Stacks is back, baby. Yeah, see, that's the thing I'm talking about, is people are gonna, hey, thanks for the 6, by the way, Jeffrey. You are our
You are our stream monarch right now. All hail the stream monarch, Jeffrey Thistle. All hail.
Okay, so this is a gifts ungiven chart.
Yeah, this is gifts ungiven foil borderless versions.
Gotcha.
If you go and just look at all of our, let's just go and look at our gifts ungiven versions here. Double Masters base copy. What is this I just clicked on? Yep, Double Masters base copies are up to $30. Yeah, Food Time, I agree with you. I think that of the 5, Gifts Ungiven is going to be the one that sees the most play. I think that Braids is going to go into the 99 of a lot of decks. It's immediately going into a 99 of Prosh for me. And I haven't even looked to see if there's anything else where it plays really well. But I do know that, like, there's a lot of blue decks that are going to really consider this card now. Like, I would already put it in any of the Reanimator lists with blue that I was talking about. But, like, Stella Lee, I would look at it for there. Iron Man, I would definitely look at it for there. I do. Well, yeah, I mean, Y'shtola. I've already been building and playing Y'shtola. I don't know about Bumbleflower, but that's just where I would put it. But I do think it would immediately go. Yeah, sorry, what were you going to say, Trev?
It looks like to the credit of this committee, there was not okay. You remember when the bans were coming for Jeweled Lotus and and you started to see the chart go down like weeks in advance? It looks like, based off the chart you were just showing me of the gifts ungiven stuff, like this did not really leak in time for people to do some crazy shit.
That's a really good point. That's a really good point. I mean, these were still under $1 as of yesterday.
Yeah.
So that is a really good point. Good job.
The people that are concerned about like insiders. I mean, I'm sure, look, all the people who knew about this, of which there were some, could certainly do this, but like it does not seem like it was as rampant as it looked.
No, yeah, we're
like
not
the J-Lo bans and stuff.
Right. That committee is like 15, 20 people, I think, and there's no way that 15 or 20 people all buying a copy is really going to move this chart in a huge way, especially considering you had 32 sold on April 2nd, right? Like, there were copies moving for sure, but it was staying cheap, and so that wasn't going to ever really move it in a huge way. But yeah, I mean, honestly, it being kept under wraps, that is kind of impressive. That's a really good point. Oh, thank you, Buzz. Trav, we are still going to go and watch the stream. I'm going to unshare so I can share with audio here. We are supposedly... Can you hear that audio coming through?
No.
We'll do a little tester here in a second.
Yeah, I'm wondering if the stream is how reactable the stream will be. Because if it's just them yapping, I feel like that's often not as...
Oh, 100%. We'll see what it's all about. It was interesting getting all of this information just sort of dumped.
Can you talk to me about the Panoptic Mirror one? Because this is the one that I'm like least...
So Panoptic Mirror is a combo piece, 5 mana. Here, let's get a better copy of it.
You just take infinite turns, right?
I mean, that's the biggest use for it. You can do anything with it because you play it for 5, and then you can pay X and tap it and exile an instant or sorcery with that cost from the game, imprint it onto Panoptic Mirror basically, and then on your upkeep you get to play that card for free. So you can do anything with it. There's a lot of different archetypes that, I want to cast the same instant or sorcery at the beginning of every turn. Blink decks, for instance. This is the clunkiest way to get a blink at the beginning of every turn possible, is 5 mana, then like 1 to 3 mana for your blink ability. Now that is over here. Let's pray it doesn't get destroyed. And beginning of every turn, I'm going to get to, ephemerate. Right? Like that would be the baseline most, like, I'm playing this for my synergy kind of use for this. But, Time Walk costs 2 mana. Oh, that one's banned. 5 mana for any of the extra turn spells. And then you got an extra turn at the beginning of every upkeep. You go to an upkeep at the beginning of those extra turns, etc., etc.
Yeah, that's the one I think I might be most surprised they unbanned.
Yeah. Sorry, chat.
Because it's such an early win.
Well, the thing is it's pretty telegraphed. To do it all in one turn, you would have to pay the 5 for this, pay the 5 for your extra turn, and get an extra turn somehow so that you can go to that next upkeep. And that's really the only way that it would pop off, I think.
How recently do you think they've been rushing out How recently have they started building the secret layers with all these cards at WC?
That was the speculation this morning, was that you get into a secret layer announcement goes live, like the website goes blank this morning first thing, and everybody was like, it's either the commander deck finally, because where the hell is the SLD commander deck, or it would be so funny if it was like, these are the cards that just got unbanned all in one secret layer. I mean, bro, you're gonna make the conspiracy theorists eye rollers, just like their eyes go back into their head if that happens. But it would have been funny, right?
Yeah, funny in a dystopian way.
Funny in a the world is ending way. Yeah, I think that it also would have been funny to have like a Jeweled Lotus secret layer this morning. Not unbanned secret layer, not unbanned Jeweled Lotus, but give it to us.
I traded a Jeweled Lotus last week because I was starting to feel like this was not going to happen.
Well, you were right about that one.
Unfortunately, I only traded one of like the 4 that I have.
Yeah,
and I feel like now that those cards have got a tank, because now there's just no chance of them getting like, Looking at
Papa Flowers asked a question. I like the unbans, but gifts should probably at least be on the game changer list. Let me find it. Boom.
Oh, is it not?
No, it is. It is.
Okay.
I
assume all of these went on the game changers.
For those using brackets to define your decks, it should be noted that the cards being unbanned will immediately move to the game changers list. And if you're interested in talking more about brackets, you can do that in the other article, which we've been looking at. So all 5 of these, Gifts Ungiven, Sway of the Stars, Braids, Coalition Victory, and Panoptic, are automatically game changers. This is the kind of thing that I could see happening, though, where I'm like, as time passes with this sort of announcement, you're not going to get big batches of cards added to game changers because the list is going to get more and more refined. But you will get game changers added through unbans, and then I think you'll see cards like Panoptic Mirror fall off the game changer list over time. And that's kind of what the flow is going to be to really define this across the entire life of Commander. It's an interesting vision. It's a safe vision. That makes sense. You really don't want to rock the boat too much. Like I said in the video, there was a thin line between we are rewarding the worst actors and we are only focused on the game's health to unban the stuff that got unbanned. And so, you know, they chose to not reward the bad actors, which makes total sense. Especially considering they said in there that they're watching Jeweled Lotus. That Jeweled Lotus was the closest of all of them to getting unbanned, of all 3, but they didn't have enough people on board with it. But that one was the most likely for them to keep their eye on over time.
Yeah, I feel like that card is not going to get unbanned for like half a decade at least.
Jeweled Lotus?
Like if you
I could see it getting unbanned next year.
No. This is the thing. I feel like if it wasn't going to get unbanned, or if it was going to get unbanned, it would get unbanned in this moment. You know what I mean? Like
Count, what's up?
It's like nothing's going to be different a year from now. Like you need so much time to pass for everybody to mellow out, you know?
Yeah.
It's going to be...
Can you hear Gavin?
For the most part, like a great example of this.
No, but I'll turn it on my side.
No matter if you're using brackets or not, if someone has braids in their command zone, you kind of know what's going to happen, right? You know what kind of game you're in for. So we wanted to make sure we could communicate that with what was going on here. And so, yeah, we did a lot of iteration, came to these 5 cards using a number of heuristics, like what are some
I guess nostalgia seemingly played a pretty big role in their reason to get this back. That was kind of what I was saying at the start of our conversation, was that, like, I feel like that, like, the format is fine. It's not like in Modern where they're like, damn, we really got to mix up the format. Let's, like, unban, you know, a Mox or something. Like, the format, I feel like, is nobody's crying out being like, oh no, I need my Braids Cabal minion to deal with these aggressive
it's not that kind of format. Definitely not that kind of format.
So like the reason
maybe at CEDH. I did hear people saying stuff like that around cards like Dockside Extortionist at the CEDH.
Yeah. That's a reason to ban cards, but like I don't know if CEDH was like, we need answers for some of these things. So
is a card that
I don't know.
is really fun.
Like I think people want to play these cards that they're nostalgic about is probably the biggest reason to unban a card.
Yeah.
Because they're like, this is the format where I'm supposed to be able to play these types of cards.
Really easily. And 2 is that you can just put like a board.
Hypnotic Robot, you're gonna run into those people.
The second one, I'm a lot less
You're gonna run into those people, but they're not gonna do banned as commander, so you're just gonna have to kind of enforce that at the play group level. Or if you're playing with strangers, just be like, what kind of braids deck is that? Are you trying to turn 1 braids? Are you playing it on turn 4? What are we doing here? They're gonna go, oh, it's totally fair. I played on turn 4, and then they're gonna go turn 1 Soul Ring, Arcane Signet, pass.
So I want to talk about what they moved to Game Changers. Do you want to wait until we get to that part of the stream to do that, or should we do it now?
Right now, from what I can hear, they are just sort of restating what was in the articles. And so I think this might be most interesting and applicable when we get to the point of like a Q&A.
Yeah.
If anybody's watching their stream and wants to kind of keep us appraised of that happening, we would appreciate it.
I feel like Spec will say something, so...
Spec is actually traveling today.
Wow. Does he know he has a job?
Commander brackets. Here we go. 18 cards added. Protection, Humility, Narset, Intuition, Consecrated. Most of these make sense. Some of them are questionable. But not so much like there's no way that should be on the list. Like Notion Thief, maybe Gamble. Gamble, their entire justification was 1 mana tutor. And they lumped it in with Worldly Tutor and Crop Rotation.
Oh, T-Pro went on there?
Oh, yeah. Teferi's Protection is a game changer now.
You mean Teferi?
Teferi.
Teferi, there you go.
Teferi's Protection.
I'm not sure you know how to pronounce the card. Okay, so 18 were added. That's crazy.
It's a lot. It is a lot. How many total game changers are there now?
Consecrated Sphinx, really a game changer?
This is the one I want to read too. Great Hinge. This one had people on both sides. It can absolutely take over a game and let a player snowball. It can also be interacted with, so dies to removal. A card that embodies green. It's a powerful card on the battlefield, make no mistake, but it's promoting a bunch of things that are generally fun in Commander. We elected to not touch it at this time. Should Great Hinge be a game changer? Is the question.
I like... Some of this is difficult because some of these cards I just don't really see that often. Like, I know Great Hinge is like a popular card supposedly, but it's like I just don't.
Poll
maybe
is
I just
up.
don't play against a lot of like green decks or whatever. I don't know. I start to care less about strengths of cards when you start to get to like I get you can cast it for cheaper, but like
Sure.
I don't know. Like,
This card's insane. As a green player who casts it a lot, people rarely remove it, and it more often than it doesn't, if it resolves, it takes over, and there's no way I'm losing.
all right. Yeah, I mean, does YouTube chat feel this way? Great Hinge is fine. Doesn't work in all of
Very
indexes.
50-50.
Somebody named Dome Torre. I don't know. Okay.
I'm not 100% on it, but it is like, this would establish the upper bar of non-game changer power. Craterhoof, I'm less on that one. Defense of the Heart, it's kind of crazy to me that this one is not on the game changer list.
Okay, so this bracket, they're showing the brackets right now.
They've got updated
And
brackets
they
here.
didn't change these brackets at all, right?
No.
Okay, yeah, he's saying they didn't change it. I really wish they had moved some stuff from 3 to 4. I feel like it's like, for me, my issue with this has always been that there's like not enough distinction between like something that is a little upgraded from a precon to like something that's running tutors and has
Yeah.
infinite combos. That's always been my issue with this, is that like it's really difficult to. I'd love to be able to sit down across an opponent and be like, oh, I upgraded my precon a little bit and added a little power to it, and not have to be like, I'm tutoring for my infinite combo,
Right.
On like turn 7 or whatever.
Right. I think that we should take brackets 2 and 3 and stretch it out a little bit. Just kind of
Yeah.
pull 2 and 3 so that a couple of the categorizations fall into optimized and we'll be good to go. I just think there's way too much focused around core and upgraded right now without the same clear distinctions between 4 and 5 other than like meta. But at that point it's like, what are we talking about? What are we talking about? CDH should be the only one that says no restrictions other than the ban list. Optimized should be like up to 3 game changers. Upgraded, you can have 1 or 2. I think 2 is a good number there.
Here's the thing. I lost my voice in Chicago, and so this is kind of all my fault because I got dinner with Gavin.
Yeah.
Gavin came to the thing that I hosted, and both situations I wanted to tell him this.
Yeah.
But I could not.
Well, next time.
And so I was unable to save us from this bracket system.
Well, I don't think it's that bad. I think that the brackets plus the game changers are really going to be the most important things here. The ban list is the ban list. And I just, right now, I'm pretty happy with everything, especially after the additionals. Oh, here we go. Here's a nice graphic of the game changer changes.
Yeah. They should have put this on the site.
Yeah, I agree.
It looks less crazy when you see this, but look at green. Green
Well,
just got pumped.
Thank goodness. It was not anywhere near enough power the first time out.
I remember you guys were disappointed about Worldly Tutor not being on there, so this would probably gotta feel good.
Well, and also things like natural order, food chain. There were some real head scratchers missing from green.
Is Consecrated Sphinx really a game changer?
Absolutely it is. Minimum. That is a 6 mana flyer that if you untap with it, you will have drawn 6 additional cards. And that's if nobody else does nothing. Over 60%. Yeah, I saw. The poll is 2 questions. I saw Headhunter. We tried. Over 60% said the brackets work or they use them. So that's actually interesting to me. I thought that was going to be lower. Is Consecrated a game changer? Consecrated Sphinx, is it a game changer? Poll going up right this second. So I think if they take the 2 and the 3, they stretch some of the stuff from 2 into 3, they stretch some of the stuff from 3 into 4, boom, we're done. We're done. Dom said we should cut 1. If you're building below 2, you don't even care about the ranks. That's true. Nobody would ever be like, this is my 1. Anybody bring their 1s? It's like, I think that's something you arrange in advance. It's like, let's go to the LGS and play 1 decks tonight. That sounds miserable, to be honest, but that's just me. That's just my opinion.
I think what's so surprising me looking at all the cards that they added is like, it's funny how many of these I run. Like, so before, it's interesting because a lot of my commander decks, I guess I must have just been a little bit on the edge in terms of my deck building.
Yeah.
Because a lot of the commander decks I had before might run like 2 game changers or 3. Especially like when I'm looking for that like mid power thing. And so many of my decks now run like 7 game changers because they just took a lot of the cards that I ran that were sort of at the upper level and like shoved them in here. So like Farewell is being on here is interesting.
Farewell's not on there. Farewell is, I think you might have gotten down into the list of cards that are on their watch list.
Oh, okay. Sorry. This is helpful for me. Yeah, so what's happening, by the way, is that this page is not fully loading because I think it's probably getting hit so much.
Yeah.
That like it's really hard to delineate because all the formatting got messed up on it. So I'm like scrolling down and I'm like, what is this? And, like half the pictures are not loading of the of the cards. Okay, cool. That makes me less I'm freaked out less now. What I need is that graphic they just showed. I wonder if they tweeted it out.
20, 22, 28, 30, 40,
Oh,
6.
Joel or Magic tweeted it out. That's very helpful.
46 game changers. Did I do that math right, chat? Can somebody check me? I don't do math. I talk about cards for a living. Chat, 46. 20, that's 20. 56. Hang on. 10 plus 20. No, 46. 56. 10, 20. There's another 10. 56. All right. Now everybody's just trying to trick me because I'm dumb. I just missed 10 of them. 56 game changers on the list. Yeah, way too much math, Dom. 56, 61, 56. Crop rotation hike.
Joel, are there any...
I like that, Sway.
Proud of yourself for that one?
No,
Joel,
that was
are
easily
you...
Swade's joke. I take no credit for that joke. I only laughed at it. I repeated and laughed.
Joel, are you... Is there anything
I
they
agree, Adam.
added to the Game Changers list that you think should not be on there?
I don't think that... I can't make a good argument for any of these orange cards to not have been added. I think that there are some that are like, humility to you is worse than something like Great Henge. Notion Thief. Nobody wins the game with Notion Thief. It's cutting things off like Great Henge. And so, you know, I've got some questions in that regard, but also turning all creatures to 1/1 no ability 1/1s is annoying. I'd rather play with my cards. You know what I'm saying? So I get it. If I play a card that's like, I want to draw 10 and you Notion Thief me, I'm going to be like, that sucks.
Yeah.
But like, the reason Notion Thief is on there, Aki the Pope, the reason Notion Thief is on there, they justified it by saying that we're not going to put something like Wheel of Fortune on there. Instead, we're going to game changer the cards that are problematic with Wheel and Dark Deal and any of the wheels.
That makes sense.
And so they went kind of the opposite route. They said, we're going to game changer the thing that makes it awful to deal with. Not, you know, typically there's not a ton of people, unless you like had your combo in your hand, that are going to get Wheel of Fortune and be like, oh, rats. Mostly people are like, okay, 7 new cards. Let's go. That sounds good to me.
Right.
That sounds good to me.
Okay, so there's nothing on this list that you are particularly frustrated to see.
No, did they not put the unbanned cards on here? No, okay, so this isn't even all the game changers.
This is what's confusing to me. Is the way they did this. They have 2 separate articles.
Yeah, Gilberto.
Like, I don't know why it's not all one article.
Gilberto just completely... Yeah, Elmo, they corrected me. It's 61 is the total. 61 game changers. Honestly, I've seen Dom say 75, but I think 100 or fewer game changers and we're fine. There are tens of thousands. There are like 30,000 cards in this game.
Yeah, I wouldn't necessarily pick like a number just because I feel like they're constantly printing so many cards and I don't want them to feel like they can't, or they need to get to a certain number, or they have to stay below a certain number. But
yeah, I feel you. But there's also in that regard, like if they're printing stuff that is automatically going right into the game changer list, doesn't that kick a card off the game changer list? Probably. If it's so power crept that now the less worse version is normal, they would just take that off the game changers.
There's entire new mechanics they could invent that they haven't explored yet that I think could be overpowered in a way, you know, in a separate way.
Crop rotation JA went along with 1 mana tutors. Sorry, Travis.
I was just gonna say if they printed like a steel. Oh, hang on, sorry. I just noticed Amy Amazonian is in the chat asking about the Through the Omen Paths stuff because streamers probably not very unhappy about this stuff.
Yeah, all the CCs are looking at that going, do what now? Dude, every card's gonna have 2 names. Anyway. Do what now?
I don't. Yeah, I don't. We should. It's a separate conversation. Maybe we can talk about it at the end or something if you're not have your own video coming. But yeah. Okay. So back on track. Yeah. I don't feel like they need to necessarily like pick a number. And to your point, like I think what will happen is, you know what, once a year, once every 18 months or something like that, they can go through and be like, okay, is the format corrupt enough that like Orcish Bowmasters shouldn't be on this list anymore or
Right.
something. And that's fine, but I don't think you ever need to worry about like one in, one out type approaches to this. Is there anything that you feel did not make it on the list that you really wanted to see?
No, I would have to go back and see what I put on my potential list. Y'all, for that poll, yes is approve, no is disapprove. I forgot to change the yes no answer. Do you more approve or disapprove of the Game Changers list? Approve is yes, disapprove is no. Not that I can think of off the top of my head. Green was the most glaring, like, what are you talking about? And then some of the cards, like Deflecting SWAT, I thought could be a question, but they were just like, free spell. Looking at the commander brackets, Deflecting. Justification for deflecting. Strong free counter magic made the list previously, and this does the job of free counter magic and more. It's deserving of a spot on the list. They were just like, straight up, we should have put it on there the first time. That's our bad. For those of you who are asking about crop rotation, it's in with 3 1-mana tutors that they consider enough. Mishra's Workshop, though not highly played due to its difficulty to acquire, a land that taps for 3 for artifacts, definitely meets some of the restrictions we put around fast mana and belongs on the Game Changers list. This one's more on the... What? Okay, sure.
Yeah.
Like, I got it. I get it. But, okay, whatever. Not a lot of people were running this. I saw a comment. Oh, Jerry. Hey, guys, I'm sure someone said this, but taking over Commander mostly away for WotC to make more reprint money. They can now push new sets with the unbanned cards. Jerry, maybe, and they will have the control to do that, but... what of these 5 cards is going to sell a set? I don't think any of these 5 are going to make people go, ooh, I got to get in on them collector packs, so I pull the big old time Sway of the Stars. That's definitely not going to $2 as soon as it's reprinted. So yeah, maybe. I feel like there's more of an argument for that if they had unbanned something like Jeweled Lotus or Mana Crypt and then immediately announced, oh, coming in Final Fantasy, special guest Jeweled Lotus. At that point, we're like, oh, cool, collusion, got it.
I don't think any of my, looking at Moxfield, because I know that they've integrated the new Game Changers in, it doesn't look like any of my decks moved. And I feel like part of, and honestly, again, like I kind of get annoyed by that because
annoyed by
almost
what?
By the fact that none of them moved.
Right.
Because so many of my decks are bracket 3, because bracket 3 just is like
all inclusive,
a massive amount of.
I'm telling you, we need to mostly split 3 and 4. We need some more distinction from 3 to 4, so that people can be like, do you want to play a 3 game? Do you want to play a 4 game? That would be the biggest combos. At least for me, probably I would say the same for you. Anybody who's consistently playing in our play group, the combo would be, do y'all want to play 3? Do y'all want to play 4?
Yeah.
And I'd love some good distinction on there.
I just wish they'd push some of the more powerful decks out of 3 and into 4. I think is it fair? Yeah.
Right. Right. Y'all, in general, with card prices right now, don't go buy these. This is not the time to buy these cards. You missed your time. And I would even say that there was never a time, because we're not trying to speculate. We want to get the cards for the best price we possibly can so that we can play them. That's the goal. So right now, acquiring these cards, besides like Braids is fine. Braids doesn't seem to be hit. Across the Eternal Masters and Modern Horizons 2 versions, there's obviously enough stock for everybody. Wait on these. Don't go get Gifts Ungiven, Sway of the Stars, or Coalition Victory, or Panoptic Mirror right now. On the other side, this is a great time to flip these. Get rid of them. Go buy list them. I've seen people sitting on stacks of foils of these. I've got a stack of foils of Gifts Ungiven somewhere that I got to go find. Get these, hie thee to a buy list. See what buy lists are offering for these things. I recommend our sponsor card Conduit. best place to sell your cards quickly and easily on the internet. This is the time to get rid of these. If you've got a lot, if you've got one or two, easier to just go sell them one off, trade them at their current value.
Yeah, I'm a little surprised that Braids is not going up more. I'm sad because a long time ago I was like, wow, this championship promo version of Braids is really cool. And so I like traded it with somebody, and not that I was gonna try to like flip it or anything like that, but I'm kind of surprised that it's like basically the same price that it was whenever I traded for it.
Yeah.
Like a year ago.
Emrakul had a pretty interesting write-up. Michael Hanna said, I really wanted Emrakul to get unbanned. They said of Emrakul, Emrakul's a powerhouse, whether cast or cheated onto the battlefield. As a colorless card that any deck can play, it has the de facto top end in a ton of decks, while legal and saw a lot more play than was fun. It's possible as the bracket system grows and takes off, this is the interesting part here. It's possible that when the bracket system grows and takes off that it may be more tolerable at bracket 3 and above, but for the moment we've elected to leave it on the ban list and see how these other changes go. That does not seem like we ain't ever taken Emrakul off the ban list, to me. Versus cards like Balance, listen to this write-up. This card massively strips resources out of the game, providing mass land denial, hand disruption, and a board sweep all in one. Balance is especially brutal in decks that are all about mana rocks, which are already strong. I think this is unlikely to return. So they will say straight up of a card, never. So I think you have to take them pretty seriously when they say, we'll see.
Joel,
yes.
Can you do me a favor and look up the foil etched version of Braids Cabal Minion on
Is it
TCG
poppin'?
Player? I just want you to look at the art.
Oh, wow.
Maybe share that with the stream.
Good. They really got a good scan for this one, Chad.
Yeah.
This was a yeah, this girl really liked me in high school. I just wasn't into her vibe overall. But she was always like, Joel, bring me that butt. And I was like, please stop saying that to me, dude. You got to go away. Stop pinning me against the lockers in the hallway. You're freaky. I can't do it.
now that there's more movement on this card, they may want to go back and upload a better picture.
Always with the bring me that butt, Joel. I was like, dude, no. I'm not interested. Thank you. Thank you.
Yeah. I gotta get that foil etch because when my opponent sits across the table from me and sees that, they're gonna immediately be intimidated.
I want them to get sucked into her eyes, be forever lost to the nether region located within her eyeballs. Yeah, we don't screw around with braids. It's interesting though. This is a copy here that has got some scarcity.
Yes. Yeah, that's what I was looking up. So yeah, earlier I was looking at the wrong braids whenever I talked about my store championship one.
Yeah.
This one is
the foil etch from MH2.
Yeah.
I think I got a copy of these.
Yeah, I'm gonna actually have a couple copies of this because I did open a couple MH2 set.
Yep. They have gotten completely stripped because this is the highest version. Look at these today. Some people snapped these off. Oh my god, dude. It's crazy to watch real time. Sometimes in real time you can look at TCG Player and watch this announcement drop this morning. Because
4 at 77 cents.
Exactly.
At that moment.
People were still speculating all the way up to the announcement. And then some of the like botters, some of the stores that have bots that can like react and hopefully help them out, you know, they start going up and then people start getting wise and people are awake because people with a lot of listings were obviously ready for an announcement like this. They're sitting at their computer.
Yeah, I wonder if people should just pull down their listings. Is that how you do it? I don't know.
Foil listings?
No, I'm just saying, like, there were people who are waking up, you know, or who are walking over and being like, oh, the band's, oh no. And they're just like, I now have to sell 6 75-cent cards to somebody for this card that's now $30.
Well,
you know?
I mean, how many of these stores will just cancel the order anyway? How often do you hear that story?
I mean, you do hear that story. I just don't know. I don't know what the repercussions are of that.
Yeah.
So yeah, it's interesting to see that moment, and yeah, it's crazy to see it just skyrocket. So I guess to your point, it's not a good time to buy this because a bunch of people are all going to walk over to a white box, flip it open, and pull out 17 of these things. And
Absolutely.
throw
Nobody
them on
had.
there, so
That's 100% right. Nobody had all their copies of Braid's Cabal Minion listed.
yeah.
Y'all, this card was 50 cents or less. Same with a lot of these. B-Stone, what's up? After School Special said, our only braids just sold for 25 cents. Doesn't bother me one bit, though. Good on them. I mean, that's a good attitude. All you can do is, like, do what you can. If it got listed, it got snapped off, you weren't quick enough. That's the market, baby. Yeah. Yeah, braids is starting to creep up, too. You right. The Odyssey one, people want that retro. But I'm telling you,
I look over in chat.
don't buy these.
Amy Amazonian is just saying, "I want pictures of Spider-Man" in all capital letters, and now she's spamming Spider-Man emotes from somebody's.
Amy's hilarious.
Oh, she's uploaded onto her Twitch Spider-Man emotes so that she could use them in the chat.
Oh yeah, perfect.
It's getting covered on your stream by the
I know.
your chat on screen.
I know.
But,
What's
yeah,
what's
funny.
happening, chat? They yesterday announced that the Spider-Man set is not going to go to Magic Arena. Instead, they're going to reskin the literal entire set with new art, new names, and maybe lore. I don't know. We're going to see. But standard is going to be at parity mechanically, but completely off parity flavorfully, card-wise, art-wise. Yeah, Amy's the shit. Y'all should, if you don't know Amy's Zonian content, I don't know how you're here and don't know her, but definitely go check her out. She's got a great, huge, great series of Brawl content going over like every Brawl commander you could possibly build. Is great.
Dude, the person I feel most for this, I don't know if you're fine with this being a tangent in the
it's
stream
fine.
right now.
No, here, I'm going to take a quick bio. You want to set up a little bit or
Okay.
picture camera? I'm going to take a quick
let's
bio. I'll
talk.
be right back.
I wanted to talk to you about this, but it's fine. I'll just talk to myself about it. Travis, the person I feel most bad about for this stuff is the people who do like limited content, because like I watch a lot of limited level ups. That channel is great, and it just sucks that all these guys are gonna have to be like, okay, so like I think these cards are strong, and when you're at your pre-release for Spider-Man, these cards will be strong, and they're these cards here, but they're these cards on Arena. Like it's gonna be so much work to have to like go and be like, this card, this card, this card, this card. It's just miserable. And like for me, it's one of those things that makes me want to play less Spider-Man Draft, because I like the loop of like playing with the cards online and then going to my LGS and trying to play with the cards there, and then like using my online experience to inform my in-store experience, and just having to do the mental math of like, okay, I think this is this card, I think this is this card, versus like eventually your brain just gets to a point in time where you see the art and then you immediately know, oh, it's this card that's good. So it's going to be really painful for content creators who make any content around limited.
Yeah.
And then it's going to be really painful for anyone who like is trying to use Arena. Joel, while you were gone, I was saying that like it's that Spider-Man thing makes me want to, like, I feel like I will just inherently draft that set a lot less, because I won't be able to do the Arena to in-store experience much.
That's interesting. Yeah.
Or the like all the I watch limited level ups who makes amazing content around like, hey, these are cards that are really good, and he uses Arena for all this stuff, right? He'll pull the cards up in Arena and go through like, these are really good if you're going a Simic deck or whatever. And like, you just like, how are you supposed to do that now for anybody who wants to look at that content to understand how to play the game, not on Arena, you know?
Right.
It's such a shit show.
I'm gonna back up just a little bit. My system's not showing me viewer activity. I gotta go to my other system. Nico, way back, super chatted $2. Thank you, Nico. Said Gavin said they're thinking about a fine in the 99 list. Interesting. I want to see more about that. Want to see more about that. A find in the 99 list. I mean, it just seemed like with today's announcement, they're not going to do banned as commander, find in the 99, any of that kind of stuff anymore. So we'll see. Adam Garcia super chatted $4.99. Thank you, Adam. Here's a hot take. Duels and fetches should be game changers. Mana base has a huge impact on gameplay and speed. I agree with you. I don't think they should be game changers. I completely agree with you that mana base has a huge impact on gameplay and speed. I think it has way more of an impact than anybody is talking about with brackets and game changers, which I think is the point you're kind of making. Game changers, I think, is a difficult way to manage those because you're either playing with them or you're not, most cases. And the only difference of like, I run more fetches or I run more duels is your colors. And so limiting them via something like game changers where it's a completely quantity based thought process seems tough. But if you're like, okay, bracket 3 shocks, bracket 4 fetches, like bracket 3 could be triumphs and shocks, surveil lands, any of the lands with land types that can come into play untapped, 3, because those don't even come in precons, right? So that's kind of already present. And then you go up to your things like fetches. But I feel like you got to be careful there, and this is why they haven't implemented anything, because it's a slippery slope. What is Evolving Wilds? What is Terramorphic Expanse? And so you kind of have to start, you're not only delineating, oh, these are lands with types that can come into play untapped. This is a fetch land with the land can come into play tapped. And so if we say, okay, fetches, Evolving Wilds is over here, you know, Arid Mesa is over here. Where does something like, oh, what's the Kaldheim one? I'm forgetting the name of it now. Fabled Passage. Where does Fabled Passage fall? Like somewhere in the middle, right? And so then you're like creating tiers of lands. I think it could be done. You just got to think out the easiest way to make that the most parsable from a few sentences. Because I think that is another goal of theirs with this, with your brackets. Swap, please. Please change scenes. Thank you. Can't change scenes anymore.
You saying they see brackets being used as a discussion point in every other Magic Online game?
Yeah. They've said he gave a lot of evidence of like the game changers working or the brackets working. Yeah. But I think one of the goals with the brackets is to have, there we go, is to have it be easily parsable. Look at each of those bullet points. 3 to 6 words, right? You got 7 words under 1. I don't know why we need so many words to explain what a 1 is. And so, Adam, I really like this point. This is something I feel like could be explored in a long video. But to overlay that system as well, I feel like starts to make it too complicated. And so you really need a way to be like, all of these, boom. Maybe if the land makes you lose life, what all would that include and what would it not include? If we just broke it down into lands that can lose you life. Because the surveil lands, those can't come into play tapped, can they? Those are only tapped. And so, you know, I feel like those could in this system be sort of set to the side. I don't hate it. But Adam, yeah, good point. Thanks for the super chat. Appreciate you. Jeffrey Thistle did another $2. Still the Stream Monarch. All hail. All hail Jeffrey Thistle. Stream Monarch. All hail. Said sick game room, buddy. Thanks, man. I have a secret. I don't really play that arcade back there. Sorry. I do sometimes. I have occasionally. No, we definitely don't need more brackets tactics. We need a better split on brackets 3 and 4. More of a distinction on what a bracket 4 deck is. let's look at the cards that they said they were not going to unban for the interesting ones there. Biorhythm says, we discussed this card a great deal, ultimately decided not to unban it. It can go in any green deck, requires very little setup to cast, and really disproportionately impacts the player to your right. Compared to Coalition Victory... Oh, I see. Because they'll get to go last. Got it. Okay, now I see. That confused me for a second. I was like, hang on. Compared to Coalition Victory, which only goes in 5-color decks and requires you control 5 colors worth of permanents, it is a bit much. It could potentially come off someday, but we're leaving it for now. This is kind of where I fell on Biorhythm. I saw people being like, oh, it's just Coalition Victory. If you're going to do Coalition Victory, you got to do Biorhythm. And I just don't think those two things are the same. Coalition, at least, it's a little bit more broadcast. We need a couple of things. But they are close. They're not super far off from each other. And it makes sense that they would acknowledge that here. Emrakul we talked about. They said maybe one day. Arayo Suratami, they said it's not beloved or fun. It's not something we're eager to unban. It's because you flip Arayo's Essence. Are y'all familiar with this card? Arayo. So you cast it and it's this part first. Whenever the 4th spell of a turn is played, flip Arayo. Definitely not difficult in a deck that is aimed at doing this. And when you can put this in the command zone, come on, what are you doing? You're definitely pulling that off on like turn 3 or 4. And it flips into an enchantment that says counter the first spell played by each opponent each turn. Woof. That is brutal. That makes sense that they left that banned. Fast Bond. Not only is this an incredibly strong way to continuously play additional lands for a little cost, but there are kind of loops, all kind of loops you can pull off with cards like Crucible of Worlds. Fast Bond just says you can play whatever. You can do as many lands as you want. You can play any number of lands on each of your turns. Whenever you play a land, if it wasn't the first land you played this turn, this enchantment deals 1 damage to you. You got 40 life to play with. You can definitely easily win with this. A bounce land. How many landfall triggers could you get with 1 bounce land returning itself? It's just one of those a little bit too strong cards. Little bit too strong cards there. Flash. CDH is what Flash got banned for. They really wanted Flash banned in their meta. And so the rules committee back in the day gave it to them. Now we're on, you know, rules committee 2 panel, commander panel. And it looks like, boom, they're just going to leave it banned for the same reason. Not coming off ever. Easy peasy. Golos is one that I had on my maybes. An incredibly powerful 5-color option that both finds any land, ensuring that even if dead, you likely had enough mana to recast it next turn, and has an activated ability that's extremely strong. It really homogenized games and was a de facto best commander option for many, many decks. Perhaps it's an acceptable card in higher brackets, but it's not something we wanted to touch today. That's pretty damning for Golos. The Citizen. I mean, bring back Golos, dang it. Yeah, this seems pretty damning to me. Of all these paragraphs, some of them talking about Emrakul maybe being a thing that they return. Did you ever have to deal with Golos, Travis?
No, I did not, and I'm happy that I don't. I think I do think that this type of stuff where it's like, oh, this can just like everyone just runs it. Like I remember that was one of the arguments against Primetime. I don't know if that's in that article. Was that it's just sort of like you should just run this, and it just homogenizes the format, to use their big words.
Yeah, we'll get to Primetime.
So, yeah. Yeah, I'm completely fine. Having like a while ago, I learned about what Golos was like whenever he was around, and it was just sort of like, want to play 5-color? Just run Golos.
Right.
He's probably better than like whatever 5-color commander you have for your Kindred deck or whatever.
100%.
So, yeah.
100%. Oh yeah, Pain Lands. Yeah. Pain Lands are middle. They're definitely not on the game changer list. So any land that loses you life is not going to work as cleanly as I want it. But I said in my video, yeah, Adam, I said in my video, I'm into like, this is a bracket 4 card, this is a bracket 5 card. I think the game changer list could be a bracketed thing. But that's another level of difficulty. And that was my point when I started messing around. My point with the brackets is that I think they're trying to make this as easily parsable as possible. I feel like that's a guiding goal here. And so that is going to immediately knock off a lot of options. Grizzlebrand. Cheating out of Grizzlebrand and drawing an absurd number of cards was an incredibly powerful thing to do during the 1 month window where it was legal, leading to quick action. Once in play, you tend to draw either 28 or 35 cards immediately, and the game often ends that turn. I can imagine a world in which Grizzlebrand returns for high bracket players to enjoy, but I would say it is more likely than not Grizzlebrand permanently remains on the banned list. So there's your Grizzlebrand write-up.
I played Grizzlebrand this weekend in a secret lair limited event at MXP Santa Clara. He was in a secret lair that I opened.
Did you get to resolve it?
I played him. Yes. And my opponent was just like, well, I resolved it. And then the next turn, I used the card in Dragonstorm that doubles a creature's power and toughness and has it fight something.
Oh, yeah.
And so I
Swift Strike or something?
Yeah, I gained 28 health that turn because I had it fight something.
Yeah.
And then I swung in with it, and then I was like, and now I'm going to pay 7, and they're like, okay, Scoop, let's go next.
Yeah, gain 28 life.
Yeah, gain 28 life. Now I'm going to start using that to draw 7 cards. So they're like, okay.
Activate that
we
twice.
We can go next time.
Jeffrey Thistle furthering the Monarch. All hail, Jeffrey Thistle. All hail. Hear me out. Banthas's Oracle. It's not clever or interesting to win with. It's a meme of the cheesiest ways to win. It's the cheesiest. Yeah. It's a primary win con. Do they have a write-up about that on here? Thassa's. Let's see if the brackets write-up has Thassa's. Nope. Just that it's on the complete game changer list. Yeah, we'll see. Lots of people on fuckoracle.my opinion. I can see that. Food has opinions on Oracle. That is for sure. So yeah, Grizzlebrand, no way. Here we go. Hole Breacher. This is an incredibly unfun card that stifled a popular party commander, spiked the popularity of wheel effects, and made an outrageous number of treasure tokens. Theoretical rejiggering, don't say rejiggering, of brackets where you could tell me this is acceptable, but I wouldn't expect it, and certainly not with the brackets as they are now. So, Hole Breachers are never coming back. Jeffrey at lucky number 13 on the donuts. Jeffrey, thank you very much. All hail the Stream Monarch, Jeffrey T. All hail. Hole Breacher, my argument for it was that draw has gotten out of control and we need some sort of draw. To your point, Travis, it's a little bit of like, we need some push in the meta for like some anti-draw stuff. But I'll be honest, this whole thing makes me think that they are completely on a different wavelength from me on that. And because Hole Breacher permanently on the ban list per this write-up, basically. Notion Thief added to the game changers. The wheels,
though, right?
Yeah. I mean, and I get it. You don't want to abuse this with wheels, and there's like no line. I was going to say that there's the thin line, but there's no line between let's design a card that is anti-card draw and also is not abusable with Wheel of Fortune.
Yeah, I mean, I think the big thing is I don't know how you solve it because
it's tough. There is no line. Very tough.
I do think that cards like the Sphinx or whatever are decent, or it's like, fine, you're gonna draw cards, I'll just start drawing twice as many cards as you. You know, like that's kind of a solution to it. I think actually, you know what? I think there's a way you could do it where it's like an opponent may not draw more than X number of cards in a turn or something along those lines. There's got to be some way to constrain
Rabid
this.
Kittens.
If an opponent would draw their 4th card in a turn, they don't draw it. Like a world where like the wheels make sense, but they're not so like
right.
you end up with no cards in your hand.
Rabid Kitten said, why favor wheel over other cards? And I'll tell you, Rabid, I think because it's such a classic MTG card, I think that they will favor having signature MTG cards remain wherever they can. Look at Soul Ring. They said again. Did they say it in the band or did they say it in the classic cards? Cards they consider classic MTG cards? No, it's in the brackets discussion. Soul Ring. Here we go. There's been some discourse around whether Soul Ring should be a game changer and if all decks should be allowed one game changer. While we're not doing system level changes at this time, I want to reemphasize what I said in the previous article, that Soul Ring is a huge face of Commander, handed down from Sheldon himself, and we are not planning to change or restrict it at this time. So like classic cards, I feel like get some sort of a pass. And if you start to take cards like Wheel of Fortune and you say that's banned for whatever reason, money, it's an expensive card, so you know that is reasoning on some of these bans. Too powerful when you combine it with stuff like Notion Thief. I think they would rather ban around it than ban it itself, because you're also going to get a cascading effect. Exactly, Food Time. There are a lot of wheel effects, and so at that point you have to start going, where are we drawing the line? Where is this going to land? And so I think, Kittens, it's a little bit of all that. They're going to favor Wheel. They're going to try and ban around Wheel of Fortune instead of banning the cards that are worst. No, sorry. Instead of banning Wheel of Fortune, they're going to ban the cards that are worst with Wheel of Fortune or put them on the game changer list to indicate, hey, this is something that you only should be doing at the higher levels.
The other thing is that Wheel of Fortune is not the only wheel effect.
Yeah,
and
that's
I think
what
they
Futon
don't
was
want to
saying.
feel like they can't keep printing wheel effects. I think they
Right.
want that to be a
There's a
mechanic
lot of them
that they
already.
can have in the game.
100%. Yeah, that's what
And so
Futon
if
was
you-
saying. There's a lot of them, and so it's like, where do we draw that line?
Yeah.
Let me go back up here. I want to get back through these that are the write-ups that are interesting. We're on Iona. Iona was discussed heavily. On one hand, it's an awesome 9-mana angel, agree, that can create some pretty interesting decisions against a table of 3-color decks, okay. On the other hand, it shuts down monocolor decks and turns off half of a 2-color deck. Play pattern of this card is not the most fun, and we wanted to hold off for now. It could theoretically return to Commander in the future. This is a really interesting one, because this one's pretty polarizing. I think some people are super
this card
into it.
sucks.
Yeah, man, that's where I fall.
Like, sucks is that it's like shitty to play. Like, I don't who wants this to be a card. I get that it's 9 mana, but it's just like it doesn't. It like I'd rather this game say this card say
polls up.
9 mana, you win the game, than say
Turn
9
everything
mana.
off. Yeah,
Yeah, like cool. Now I'm stuck here. Like,
dog. You
Just-
want to know?
let me scoop.
I would put Iona Shield of Emeria and Sway of the Stars in the same unfun category, personally, because
Yeah.
either of them resolves, we ain't really playing Magic anymore.
No, you
Especially
still get to-
depending on
okay.
what deck we're playing.
I push back against that because you play Sway of the Stars. The next turn, the opponent can play Magic. They can take game actions. Like
Sure.
you play Iona, and the person sitting next to you is in blue, and you name blue.
Yeah,
That
they-
person is just like, okay, I scoop because there's nothing I could do.
Hope you're running Spine of Ishsa, bitch.
Yeah, and you just have it.
Yeah, I don't know. I don't like Iona, but I also love Iona, right? This card is classic for me. This was one of the biggest. Iona Shield popped up around Zendikar, right when I got back into the game around college. And so for me, this one's classic. I've had a copy of Iona since, forever. And
You
then the
should rule
fact on
zero
top
it
of
in.
that, Mr. Buzzfuzz, agree. I don't mind it in 99, not as a commander. I think that because it's legendary, I think it does get that extra level of consideration. The chat is exactly split on this. Oh, unban just grew by 2%. We're at 48% ban. Nope, it's moving now. Make sure you vote on this one. Iona Shield of Emeria, ban or unban? Leovold, I hate this card. As is the theme today, stopping your opponents from drawing extra cards is very powerful, coupled with the fact that you can play it as your commander and get value if people try and target you. Makes Leovold unlikely to return. You can also combine this with a card like Teferi's Puzzle Box. Have you seen this? Did you ever have to play against the Leovold deck?
No, I did not. It was gone by the time I came in, but I also understand that it's similar to, like, it's just like a generically good.
Right. Teferi's Puzzle Box says at the beginning of each player's draw step, that player puts the cards in their hand on the bottom of their library, then draws that many cards. But because Leovold says each opponent can't draw more than one card each turn, It's put the hand on the bottom, draw one card, go.
Yeah.
And then there's also other artifacts that'll just like completely turn it off. You ain't drawing any cards. I agree Leovold remains there. Limited resources, same. This is like not even a question.
I also just like, again, I think with so many of these, it's like, does unbanning this make the format better? Like,
Right.
Are we like, oh God, we really need Leovold and Commander, you know? And I get that you can kind of make that argument about almost any card, but I just, it's, in some sense, I'm surprised they ever unban anything because it's so easy to just be like, like, we don't, it's not like players everywhere are in arms around not being able to play Leovold, you know?
Yaksa, that's interesting. Argued that Orcish is destroying Sphinx or those card draw engines. Orcish on the game changers list now. That's a good point. I imagine nobody will play Sway of the Stars unless they're a troll and it's good to know. Or they've set it up to come out ahead, like casting it and T-Pro together. Yeah, David. Right, like, I mean, the way to win with this is stack some 7 damage, give this instant speed, and cast it, and, you know, that resolves the 7 damage, resolves Bob's your uncle. But that's so much mana. It's so much mana. Limited resources is a no-brainer. Lutri, here we go. Poor Lutri. While the shell of the card is no doubt fine, correct, agree, and many players would love to see the otter freed for their decks in a post-Bloom Burrow world, yes, the companion restriction means that every deck with blue and red in its color identity could include a copy at no cost. That's not appropriate or tenable. I can imagine a world with allowed in the 99 only list that would free the otter to go into people's decks. Okay, so there's that written down, chat. Allowed in the 99 only list. But we're not doing this now, nor is there any guarantee that we'll do that ever. So Lutri stays. We welcome your feedback. Ban companion.
I really feel like they should do the allowed on the 99 list. Like, it's not like there are ban lists that exist in Magic formats that are only one allowed. You know, like there are instances where you have kind of 2 separate lists anyway. And with things like Moxfield and all that stuff, like I feel like it's so easy. Like I don't think it's like a particularly confusing system to do it that way. So I don't know. Maybe there's like some big glaring issue that I'm missing because I know these conversations have existed for a very, very long time. But I don't know. It's just like this seems so easy. Just do it, and also do it now when you're like making sweeping changes to the format.
I'm in line with you, Food Time. Food Time said make more companions that work in Commander for the colors that don't have them yet. Deck building restrictions are good. I just feel like it's a thin line of design to ubiquity. You just got to make them really narrow. Because essentially it's just another version of Partner, right? I just think that all of these cards could be freed. Like probably the most played card with Companion that I run is Garuda as a 99. I don't have a, you know, oh, I do have a Cat's Kindred that's got whatever it's not Sahili, Kahira. What's the one? Oh yeah, Dino Hippo. I've played Dino Hippo in quite a few 99s. Luris I've never played in Commander. I've played Luris in Constructed a lot, but I've never played Luris in Commander. Who's the one that does the Kindred stuff for like cats and beasts and dinosaurs? I've got that one. But that one's easy to throw in that Kindred, in those Kindreds, because here. Is it Kahira? Is that right? Yeah, there we go. Each other creature you control that's a cat, elemental, nightmare, dinosaur, or beast gets +1/+1 vigilance. This is like an auto command zone anthem. If you're in cats, elementals, nightmares, dinosaurs, or beasts. That's the only other companion I've really played, and this is not one that I would be sad if it went away, because companion, I feel like, is just another version of Partner, so we could just ace it and not go there. Nadu.
Do we even need to talk about that?
I swished my hand and we're moving on. I swiped left.
Yeah,
Swipe left on Nadu. We're good.
Yeah.
Everyone hates you. What I'm saying, there are color combos that can't have a companion because of the commander, and red-green because the red-green one's 5 color, which I also have. The red-white one I use as well. Yeah. You know, be good, like a middle ground for us, food, is they bring it back, but it's a different, they ban companion, the mechanic. They bring it back as like under a new word. Like they, you know, sometimes just rename a mechanic sometimes so that you can't stack them. Like toxic and poison. Infect and toxic, sorry. So we just, we introduce a new word, and then every monocolor can get a companion. And
It would be a nice way to help monocolored stuff. Yeah, I like that idea.
And then you've got, and then like all the two color ones can. Because all those were kind of weird and hybrid mana'd up, right? Paradox Engine says, an incredibly easy combo and mana generation card with the artifact mana played in Commander. I can imagine if brackets are strongly and widely adopted, I was talking about it as a potential game changer. But we're a long way off from that. Oof, buddy. This one's tough. This one's thick and sexy right here. Paradox Engine's like, unban me, baby, do it. I like to see it as a golem. This is the face right here, eyes, nose, and mouth. And these
it's like got the crazy arms around it or whatever.
Big arms. It walks around like this. It's like, I'm a Paradox Engine. Come on, dude.
This is why people tune into the stream for
untap
their analysis on the bans and unbans. They want to see your.
You cast something? Untap your shit, dude. Do it.
Thoughtful analysis of the decisions made.
You cast something else? Untap your shit. Do it. Yeah, I don't like Paradox Engine. I hate it. Here we go. Primeval Titan. While it is beloved and nostalgic, beloved, we'll pronounce it like Shakespeare. It's retro frame after all. While it is beloved and nostalgic, the amount this card accelerates is massive and can really dominate the game. Those who played it back when it was legal know how often the game would revolve around a Primeval Titan, whether it died or not, cloning it or otherwise. I do think this is a card that could potentially return and be in the game changer list, but this card can be extremely warping, and now was not the time. Dun, 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 dun. Not financial advice. Go buy 1,000 Primeval Titans. It's coming off the ban list at some point. You heard it here first, ladies and gentlemen. Don't go do that. Please, God, don't go do that. Honestly, I think grabbing a copy or two of a hot Primeval Titan over the next 6 months ain't the worst play possible. I wouldn't do it right now because I bet that prices are still jacked from all of the speculation leading into this. This is just not a good time to buy any of these cards at all. You missed. You missed your time, and that's fine. It doesn't matter. Don't FOMO over that. Yeah, this will go down.
Was this did not double the size of the Game Changers list, did it? Or did it?
No, it was like 30 something and they added 18 and 5.
Okay.
And took off 2.
So yeah, I'm just looking at I'm trying to bring in the community reactions and decide and let you know if like this is popular or not. So I'm looking at Reddit and Twitter.
This is where it was.
Looks like people are overall fairly happy. There's a lot of conversation about treble and pairs going off the Game Changers list. That's like a big thing that people are saying is like, this is kind of surprising.
It was safe. This whole announcement was pretty safe. I think they didn't want to shake it up too much. I think that they gave some pieces, looking at the unbans, we'll come back to Primeval Titan and go from there. Looking at the unbans, they gave us some safe options. They gave us some little spicy options that we were talking about. They gave some competitive options. They were like, yeah, here's a competitive card. Here's a card that is like questionable, but we'll see. It's like showing that we're hard onto it. You know, like old clunky win cons, old clunky win cons, old clunky win cons. We'll give you a little something. We're going to flesh out the Game Changers way more. Here's 18 more of those. Green is now appropriately balanced into Game Changers, or at least much closer.
There's a lot of conversation, Joel, about how much they're cutting off punishing card draw with Notion Thief, Narset, Orcish Bowmasters all added a Game Changer.
That was one of my biggest points on Sunday, is that there's not a lot of that, and the more I play Commander,
Alms Collector.
Dude, the more I play Commander, what do I say to myself every time a game ends and I lose and I'm like, I wanted to have done better? What do I think could have helped me here? 9 times out of 10, I'm like, I need to put more card draw in this deck.
And a lot of people are really unhappy about treble and pairs going off Game Changers. That's interesting.
Let's see the write-up for that while we're talking about it. The first card being delisted is Trouble in Pairs. This card has certainly emerged as a standout card since it was released about a year ago. While it can draw a lot of cards, it's on pair with some cards that are not on the list. General feeling is that it's just slightly under the bar for the Game Changers list. So yeah, we read this one. Yeah. Attacks with 2 or more, draws their second card. That's gonna happen more often than attacks you with 2 or more creatures. So it's like, cast your second spell is pretty much always going to happen. You can pretty much count on this one to draw you 2 or 3 cards passing around the table. It's a tough time if somebody... I mean, like, unless you play this on turn 4, and it's one of those turns where everybody just casts their commander, you know?
Yeah.
But even then, like, they all took a turn to cast their commander, so nobody removed this. And so now we're back around the table. They're going to be set up and ready on turn 5 or 6 mana at their disposal to cast, like, 2 spells.
Yeah. I don't have as much of an issue with it getting unbanned.
It seems random.
I played it, or I shouldn't say unbanned, game changered.
Un-GC'd.
Delisted.
DGC'd.
Yeah. Yeah.
This one's just strange. This one's strange. Plausible it could get added back. Like, then why remove it at this time?
Yeah.
Feels weird. Feels strange. Let's go back down to prime time and go from there. Oh my god, I see we're running into some hot and heavies. Prophet of Crewfix, here we go. Seedborn Muse just got promoted to the Game Changer list, and Prophet is that, but you also get free reign to play your spells on everyone else's turn. It's a really powerful card that also monopolizes the time in the game. The Prophet player gets an extra turn of playing creatures for each other person over and over again. Absolutely dominating at low power tables and still quite strong higher up. Isn't necessarily locked on the ban list forever, but now is not the time to remove it. Yep, this one's brutal, man. This is one I do not want to see back. Blue-green doesn't need any help at all. Especially with them elevating Seedborn Muse up. Even more of a reason now. This is the same amount of mana, except all your creatures get flash. Yeah, you can untap your mana rocks. You're still going to be crushing. Recurring Nightmare. Now, chat, this is one that a lot of you were like, I want it back. Look at that. Nearly 50-50 on Iona being banned or unbanned. Just slightly more people said, I want to unban that card.
So Recurring Nightmare, you can just throw a bunch of stuff in the yard really early, and then you just kind of like... I'm surprised to hear a lot of people want this back. It feels incredibly strong. The fact that once you play it, you can just constantly do it. I don't know. Like, that's the thing that is, you don't have to tap it. Like, you don't have to tap anything. I'm surprised that I'm completely fine with that staying banned.
Wolfsbane, I feel you about that. Who uses rocks in Simic? Nobody. Prophet of Crewfix is untapping everything mana-wise. Yeah, I'm with you on Recurring Nightmare. I think this card is way too strong. I think that maybe there's a world... No, I was going to say I think there's a world one day where a card outclasses it and it can move to Game Changer, but I really don't think so. Because, I mean, even, like, what are you going to do? Reanimate? Like, 1 mana? Yeah, and it's the return to the hand. It's just the loop here, the built-in loop. You don't need anything to loop it. Like, if it didn't return and you could sack it, and it was, yeah, I mean, that would balance it out. Play pattern of repeatedly looping the same creatures without an interaction window because of the returning of the enchantment is a cost. Oh my god. I didn't even consider that. You can't even in response destroy this thing because it's a cost. It's gone. And the combo potential leads to a card that is more likely to create harm and frustration than good. There's literally no time to interact with this because that's a cost. That's crazy. I hadn't even considered that. So you play it, chat. If they go to remove it and you've got a creature on the board, which you should before playing this, you don't just want this to sit there. You play this, they go to interact with it, you just activate it. He said, I think overall it's interesting to both punish card draw and punish the card draw punishers. I'm in the punish card draw boat and not so much the other. Yeah, same. Card draw is where games are lost and people don't know it. You've lost many games in Commander because the other person has simply drawn 20 more cards than you, and it just wasn't.
Dude, I know.
Wasn't precisely
I have that problem.
evident.
I have that problem with some friends who like I've now gotten to the point in Magic where in Commander knowledge where I know how the games are won in the non-obvious ways, right?
Yes.
Like it's not like everyone knows when Crater Hoof Behemoth resolves, like okay,
Right.
this person won because of this card, but they don't realize, oh no, they actually won because they drew 20 cards because they had like a Ristic or something on the board that helped them get the Crater Hoof Behemoth, and that's what got them to where they are today. And like but I have some friends who are not at that point yet, so I'm like, we need to do something about this, like Ristic or something, and they'll be like, it's fine, there's nothing too crazy in that deck or whatever, and then we lose, and I'm just like, yep, you guys did this to yourself.
Check this out. Is a commander from the year 2024 on that isn't a reprint sort game paper? 108 chat. 108 commanders printed since the beginning of 2024 that say draw a card on them. 108. Let's sort them by actual EDH rec rank here so we can see what the powerful ones are. 108 options for your command zone printed since the beginning of last year. January, February, March, April. For a year and 4 months, 108 options that say draw a card. Card draw has got to be checked in Commander somehow, because it's off the charts. And it is, like you're saying, Travis, it is the secret way you're losing. You're not losing. You're going to lose to some card, whatever the last spell they cast, blah, 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 or last attack, whatever. But when every turn, every deck that is highly played is returning 2 or 3 cards to your hand, that shit adds up very, very quickly. Very, very quickly.
Joel, have you talked about the secret lair that dropped?
No, we haven't gotten there yet. Been focused on the commander bans and all that stuff as of yet. We briefly mentioned it at the top.
I only noticed it because I got like an email and from them promoting it. And I'm very confused by it, especially dropping it in the middle of all this stuff.
It is a weird time. I do probably
need to run in about 15 minutes.
Okay.
But I don't know. But I'm sorry to derail you. I'm trying to understand. Did you notice that the foils for this are like twice as much money?
Yeah, that was when we glanced at it. That was my biggest question: was what is happening here? Why is this a $60 foil set? The only thing I can think of is that they are pre-pricing it so that they can make more money for people that are like, I've got to have Adventures of the Little Witch. I need it. But when they go, 20% off in 6 weeks if this one doesn't sell out, it's still at the 30 or 40 that it would be.
I'm just very confused by this.
I would assume that the IP tax would be the only thing that would raise a foil one up to $60, but
the Secret Lair team is always so confusing to me because they will just do the most random stuff. You know what I mean? It's like, let's just spin a wheel and okay, this one now the foil is twice as much as the non-foil. Why? Because the wheel told us.
Free shipping's on 99 and above, Steve.
Yeah, I don't understand.
So you can't even buy one of each and it'd be above for free shipping. Strange. That's Recurring Nightmare. Too broken. Way too broken. Wow, 50-50, huh? 50-50 on that poll. That's crazy. Rafellos Llanowar Emissary. The mana provided by Rafellos out of the command zone is massive. Maybe this is something that can be only in your deck and not as a commander, as it's much stronger when your deck is built around it. But the card is unlikely to return. That makes sense. That makes sense. Didn't have a huge sample size either, Food. Tommy, thanks. Good to see you. Sundering Titan. This card is miserable at low power tables as it blows up tons of your opponent's lands and tends to get blinked, reanimated, or otherwise triggered time and time again. Maybe this would be an acceptable game changer. Even then, upgraded decks don't want mass land denial around. I'd say this one's possible, but an uphill battle. Aha, uphill, and Sundering's running up a hill. Interesting. Sylvan Primordial, speaking of blinking and land destruction, puts you ahead, sets everybody else back. Prime candidate for clones, blinks, flickers. Same thing. It is not the most fun card, especially at more casual tables. This one I could see being unbanned in the future as we adapt and evolve brackets, but we decided not to touch it for now. Ugh, that's terrifying. I don't want to play against Sylvan Primordial. Tinker's a free tutor, especially with treasures, food, and clues being as hard as they are. Here we go. Tolarian Academy. Artifacts are everywhere in Commander, more now than ever with the proliferation of clue, food, and treasures. Mana producer would be up to the same kind of fast mana nonsense alongside artifact ramp. It's always been, and it's like unlikely to be unbanned. There you go, chat. That's the card I was wrongest about. And I'm telling you, I have recency biased. I got beat by a guy's cradle last weekend.
Wait, you really? Do you thought Tolarian Academy? I didn't see your chart. You didn't share it with me, so
my list had. Let me.
You had Tolarian Academy as maybe unbanned?
No.
Okay.
Here we go. I had it on probablys. There we go. I had it on my could maybe be unbanned list. And I said, I just played against a deck that was absolutely wrecking with Gaia's Cradle. And the whole time I was this is bullshit. Just run Tolarian Academy, whatever.
Yeah.
And so I've got hard recency bias on Tolarian Academy being fine because Gaia's Cradle is fine and is just on the game changer list. So I was like, take it off, put it on the game changers. Let artifact decks have some ridiculousness. Especially if you're going to, dockside. We're not going to go there again to get absolutely crazy out of the gate. But everybody was just like, no. We're not unbanning Tolarian Academy. Even the panel. They were like, dude, no. This is one they said straight up, unlikely to be unbanned.
Yeah,
Same thing with Trade Secrets. Imagine. Unlikely to be unbanned. This is just like 2 players draw their whole decks.
When they say unlikely to be unbanned, that's their way of saying there's no fucking hell we're ever unbanning this, because
that's how I would translate that.
They can't say unlikely because like in some crazy world, I'm sure there's like some lawyer that reviews this. It's like, hey, do not say it's never going to get unbanned. You just, so we could go with unlikely. That's as strong as we could go,
Right. Upheaval. Dude, return all permanents to their owner's hands for 6 mana. Woof. Rough, dude. Never. Yawgmoth's Bargain. You start with 40 life. While expensive, gives you the cards immediately and lets you combo off. It's not impossible. It's outside the scope of being a game changer. Necropotence is not dissimilar, but I would not plan on this returning. At least you've got some interactability window with Necropotence, I think. With Yawgmoths, you don't. Do you with Necropotence?
It would be interesting to rebuild the graphs that we made by using Gavin's framing on each of these words. Like when he says unlikely, you just put that in like never gonna get unbanned, definitely won't be, and then possible as a game changer, that's much closer.
Judges in chat, does this sentence apply to the card that is exiled, or if I remove Necropotence before the end step? Are those cards going to get still put into your hand because they carry with them the put that card into your hand at the beginning of the next end step? Hometown, what's up? Good to see you. You still get it? Okay, so it applies to the card itself. So there's less interactability with Necropotence than I was giving it credit for. Both are still in the same category of like, if you go to answer it, I'm just going to respond by activating it a bunch. Yep. Are they still going over here? Negative?
No, they finished a while ago.
Got you. It was all in the articles pretty much. Okay, so that was the ban article. Let's look at the cards we went over on the game changers here. Teferi's Protection. It's a defensive spell, much like Cyclonic Rift. It saves you from targeting while freely making big plays or attacks without risk. It's certainly a game changer. I completely agree. Humility. This card slows the game down to a crawl, disabling everyone's creatures and shutting down a card type that everyone's likely built in their deck around. In comparison to Trinisphere, a fair Trinisphere forces people to pay some more mana. Even a fair Humility toss on the board will usually make games massively frustrating. I could see that. Wolfsbane. Oh my god, you don't run Crows and Grip? Not as often as I should, obviously. Here's the whole write-up. While punishing additional card draws is a reasonable thing to have in a game of Commander, these are particularly aggravating to encounter. At best, these are frustrating to play against. At worst, they combo with wheels to do nefarious things. Now remember, these are the game changers, chat. Now we're going through their justifications for the new cards that they put on the game changers. So these are limited according to what bracket you're in. Meaning you can't have any in brackets 1 and 2. You can have up to 3 and 3, and then 4 and 5 is no different. Other than, well, I mean, no, 4 and 5 has no limit, is what I mean. That's just so weird to me. It should be like none or 1. 1 in core,
I guess one argument against
here,
them putting a lot of stuff on the game changers list is that it starts to become increasingly more difficult to make a bracket 3 deck.
That is true. That pushes them up into 4. I mean, maybe that's the route they want to go, is have a big game changer list so that they can define 3 and 4 that way.
Yeah.
Interesting. Intuition's a very strong tutor, giving you 1 card and dumping 2 into the graveyard. While it's not always the exact card of the 3 you want, with redundancy, you're usually getting something strong. Also stocks your graveyard, combined with the fact that it can be a 1-card combo in the right deck, brings it up to game changer status. That makes sense. I mean, it's cheaper than Gifts Ungiven, right? Consecrated. Must kill threat at most commander tables. Untapping with Sphinx and the 6 or more cards you've drawn by the time it gets back around to your turn puts you dramatically ahead. Completely agree. That's what I said. Additionally, the gameplay of other players cloning it and then allowing them to each draw as many cards as the other will allow is not the best gameplay. This fits right in as a game changer. I agree. Can't tell you how many games me or Dom has resolved Consecrated Sphinx, and then somebody's like, copy that. Now I have 1. How many cards do you want to draw? I'll draw that many. How many cards do you want to draw? I'll draw that many. And those 2 players just completely rip ahead of everybody. Damien, what's up? No, it's still some tutors. They said that they're going to update. So today what they did was they unbanned 5 cards. They added 18 cards to the game changer list. They took 2 cards off the game changer list, added the 5 unbanned cards to the game changer list automatically. And that's what they did. They said by September, which is Atlanta MagicCon, that was the benchmark, that was the timeline they used. They said by Atlanta MagicCon, we will have heard from them again, specifically about brackets and like structuring the whole thing. They said this year that they are not unbanning or banning any more cards outside of a case like a Nadu being printed.
They also said they expect us to hear something like maybe game changer updates around MagicCon Vegas, because they said they're trying to do an update quarterly, and so under next steps you shouldn't expect anything until sometime after MagicCon Las Vegas around June and 20th to 22nd. And then they said, I think maybe in the other article they said June or July, I'm trying to remember,
late June, early July.
Yep, there it is. Just further down there.
But there will not be any bans for the rest of the year, saving something new like Nadu. That requires immediate action. So
maybe some game changer movement in July, like late June, early July, which would be surprising to me because I'm like, you guys just did a lot of movements. Like,
correct. How
often do you want to do this? And then I think they'll probably maybe make any changes they're going to make to the brackets in August. I know we don't want to get to like the point in time where we had like 10 power levels or whatever. I am kind of okay with them adding in 1 more bracket between 3 and 4.
I think that just means they need to define 4 more clearly.
Just the problem is like 5 being this, like, it's the same, but it's not, is like, it just crushes it so much. Like, I get that CDH players want to be represented in this like bracket system, but I'm like,
well, ignore them.
If we just had the 5th bracket available to like stick stuff in there, I feel like it would be so much easier to delineate 3 and 4.
Yeah, Sean, I feel you. I'm just throwing numbers out. I'm not running these through any kind of thought process other than vibes, baby. I'm like 4 feels good. That's a 4 at the top of that bracket listing. Let's go with 4. Yeah, vibes, baby.
Damian Estrada in the chat says, questions for Mr. Gafford. Do any of these newly added cards change any of your decks to a 4? No, that's what's interesting is none of my decks changed at all. I don't know if any of yours did, Joel, but like none of mine
I'll
did.
have to go check.
In fact, it lowered Nelly. I don't think it lowered Nelly Borka from a bracket thing, but like she had trouble in pairs in there, and now that's like not in there. So
I didn't add any tutor or no game changers added to my Dahada deck. Looking at my Esper deck, Teferi's Protection was added as a game changer to this, but it's still only 2 game changers. Bumbleflower, now it's got Teferi's Protection as a game changer.
Your Dahada's a 4?
I mark it as a 4 myself because this is like, I mark it as a 4 because I consider it as powerful as I can make it without branching into CEDH.
Yeah.
But it's arguably a 3++. I mean, on paper, it's a 3. 2 game changers, 2 tutors, and it's a Magda that I have to sack treasures and a Vergot that I have to attack with. So like on paper, it's a 3, but I call it a 4 because it's hard, a hard deck to deal
green
with.
Is I
would say the same thing of Bumbleflower. Yeah,
green
let me see if
probably move the most with all
my
the stuff
energy deck runs so no. My energy deck runs so many specific cards that one wasn't gonna get changed. Cobalts, Prosh, Demonic Tutor, Bolus of Citadel. Nope. I've only got 2 game changers in this one. But again, this is one on paper it's a 3, but I call it a 4 because I think spiritually, intentionally, it's a 4. And that's what they said, intent of play. This whole piece is pretty important. When we first rolled out the bracket system, one mistake I believe we made was not to emphasize how important the intent you have for your deck is when it's selecting its bracket. Game Changers list and bracket guidelines got most of the emphasis, and intent sat on the sidelines. However, in terms of importance, those should be flipped. And I agree with them. That's why I mark my Prosh deck as a 4 and my Dahada as a 4. On paper, they are not. They are 3s. Firmly in 3s. I don't run a lot of Game Changers. I might now more that the list is bigger. That's my active. Let's look at, Copious Trunk Space. This is the Abzan. I'm not finished with this deck yet, so I haven't listed it. This gained a Game Changer with Seedborn Muse, but that came in the pre-con.
I think so. Damien has a Deadpool deck that moved up to a 3 from a 2 because of Aura Shards and Teferi's Protection.
Yeah. Okay, so Lara Croft was already an official 4 because it runs Fierce.
You don't
Ancient
have a lot
Tomb,
of like
One Ring,
very
and
green decks, I think, Joel, and neither do I.
I build very synergistically and less stompy, man, as well. I think that has become more and more evident as this whole system is rolled out, is that I build very powerful decks, but I lean heavily into synergies and not so much like the most generic powerful cards.
Yeah. I think
Food Time is is the same way. He builds it a lot the same way as me.
I think the people who have very green decks probably moved a ton on this, like with things like Worldly Tutor and things going in there. Seedboard Muse, those ones are probably the ones that saw the most shift. Yeah,
so this has gone, I think Lumra, it's so funny that this was previously a bracket 2. This has gone from a bracket 2 to a bracket 3 with Crop Rotation and Worldly Tutor being added to the Game Changers. But the thing is, so this Lumra Forest deck is a freaking 4, bro. I'm not going to hear any arguments otherwise. This deck slaps, even without the Game Changers.
Interesting, because you have it listed as a 2.
I just hadn't updated it because it's not on my active roster. This list is probably a little out of date as well. Jeffrey Thistle with the $5 super chat. Firmly the Stream Monarch. All hail Jeffrey Thistle. All hail Crowns in chat.
You can change it right now on stream just so we all know, that you're somebody who is a man of honor, and will change his bracket to
it's the honorable thing to do? I wasn't aware it's the honorable thing to do.
Yeah, I think it is.
Okay, well then full honor, I've got to make it a bracket 4 deck.
Yeah, exactly.
There you go. Any amount of 2-card combos, any amount of Game Changers. Yeah, I mean, yeah. We could get
I
into.
thought you said it was a 4.
We could get into
And you
what's a
changed it
game
to a
changer.
3.
No, it's a 4.
Yeah, no, but I saw you change it to a 3 at first. So
I
thought,
clicked the
he's
wrong
still
thing.
trying to sneak past
That
us,
was just a human mistake based on human error. I do that sometimes.
Oh, okay,
I
okay.
am one of those.
Gotcha.
Jeffrey Thistle said,
Yeah.
my Edgar deck is still bracket 2, just a bunch of random vampires and kinship pumping cards. LOL, pretty sure it'd stomp a bracket 3 stuff. Yeah, and that is why I think that this, all hail, by the way, crowns in chat for Jeffrey Thistle, our stream monarch, all hail. I think that is why this part, intent is the most important part of the bracket system. While there are guidelines to keep in mind when deck building, the bracket system is emphatically not just put your deck into a calculator, get assigned a rank, and be ready to play. Deeply appreciate tools like Moxfield and the other one that they've put together to give you an overall estimate, and they've done some fantastic iteration to help emphasize intent as well. But I want to stress that any estimate's just an estimate. It's on you to use what you know to label your deck correctly. I could easily build a deck that technically meets all the rules of core and plays at a power level of optimized, and I'm sure many of you can too. That's basically what we were just talking about, is I have to self-bracket some of my decks because I don't run the stereotypical most powerful cards more often than not. Because I don't like to have similar cards across similar decks. It's a weird thing for me. I want all my decks to play differently, and I want them all to run different cards. But ultimately, knowing your own intent is a critical piece of the whole thing. And so I think that is a big piece that needs to get discussed over the summer as we get to our next announcement regarding game changers, regarding the brackets, is that your intent is critical here. And that's also why a lot of this is just for the stranger pods, right? Play groups are mostly just like, I want to play. I mean, think about when we sit down, Travis. It's like, okay, what do you want to play? Oh, I've been wanting to play this. All right, sounds good.
Yeah.
That's like it.
Yeah.
That's it. Occasionally, I'll get to the end of a game and I'll be like, okay, I think I chose the wrong deck versus the power level of you, but
that is true. But like myself and my friends often build new decks. I think you're usually building new decks, and it is nice whenever sometimes you sit down and you say like, oh, I've Damien says I've built a new Deadpool deck. Okay, what bracket do you think this is?
Right.
And he goes, oh, I think it's 4. And I do think it's kind of nice too, because I think some of the joy of seeing somebody play a new deck or bringing a new deck to play with somebody for the first time is not disclosing what's in it, so that like, they're revealing it like you're watching a movie or a show or something. And so having the bracket system is nice because you don't have to be like, well, this runs T Pro, and so then whatever you're swinging in, you're like, well, you just told me it runs T Pro. So it's I do like, even within the inner friend groups, I do think it's nice. But you're right, that is way better for like, I'm sitting down at MagicCon with 3 strangers versus versus this, yeah.
Or even at your LGS. Yeah. You're not gonna know everybody at your LGS.
Yeah,
I think it helps there.
MagicCon is an example. Yeah.
Yeah.
I have to go get a partial crown put on my back molar.
Ooh,
so
dentist stuff sucks. Yeah, we're gonna say bye, y'all. Big day of announcements. There's gonna be a lot of fallout over the next week. Watch out for new videos, new shorts hitting the channel ASAP. If you're watching this and you're not subscribed, please do that. All the YouTube stuff. Y'all have a good rest of your day. We're gonna bounce for now. Enjoyed talking about all these crazy announcements with y'all, and I'm sure we will discuss them more. Crowns in chat for old Travis Gaff. Travis, thank you for hanging out. You want to pump your channel real fast?
No.
Talk to y'all later. Love you. Bye. Have a good night. Have a good day.